Chapter 714. The night bar was finally open for business. Wang Zhong's bar was a leisure bar. Like the other bars here, there was a large television set in the corner of the bar, which was broadcasting content about the Mechanical Gladiator Tournament. The Mechanical Gladiator Tournament was the only sporting event in Steel City. There was gambling surrounding this event, and the bar was where the customers placed their bets. The customers would often drink some alcohol and place their bets, watching how the robots they placed their bets on beat the other enemies. If they won, the customers who placed their bets would let out deafening cheers, while the customers who lost would curse and use their energy points to get drunk. Wang Zhong's bar was not big. There was a front desk and more than 10 tables. He temporarily hired a bartender and 2 waitresses. There were all kinds of customers, but most of them were nearby residents. Wang Zhong even found robots coming in to drink a few times. These people were either fierce people who had gone to the arena, or were preparing to go to the arena. Every time these people appeared, some of the customers would softly comment on them. Some of the girls in the bar would sometimes see how handsome these gladiators were, and would throw themselves at them. There were many bars on this street. In order to improve business, Wang Zhong had set up an opening sale when he opened for business. Buy one get one free beer. Every week, there would be a competition between a few people. Whoever drank the most beer in the shortest amount of time would get a free meal that day. In terms of business, Wang Zhong's hundreds of years of business experience was not to be trifled with. Half a year had passed, and Wang Zhong's bar business had stabilized. Many customers would greet Wang Zhong when they saw him, calling him bar boss. Wang Zhong now had a stable income, earning a few thousand energy points every day. He also hired 2 bartenders and 4 beautiful waitresses. Of course, there were also girls who accompanied him, but they were all peripheral girls. These girls did not necessarily work here. They came over to play after a long time. Sometimes the customers would ask them to drink and would give them a tip. While promoting consumption, Wang Zhong gave these girls free drinks. It was a win-win situation for both sides. F***CK. My Mr. Mighty is indeed awesome. He defeated Captain Dragonfly in one move. Today's my treat. That night, an old acquaintance bet on Mr. Wei Meng and won 50,000 energy points in one go. He was so excited that he treated everyone to a meal under the guise of being drunk. Thank you, big brother. Awesome boss. The drinkers toasted the strong man to express their gratitude. 2 women with hot figures walked over and took the initiative to hook up with him. After all, this person had won such a huge bet. A few hundred energy points would be enough for them to live a good life. Wang Zhong was also very happy for this guest. After pouring a cocktail for him, he smiled and said, "Congratulations." "Haha, thank you, boss. I told you that my Mr. Mighty is amazing." The Mr. Mighty that the drinker was talking about was a Gundam that was installed with 4 wheels. It was said that the driver sat on Mr. Mighty's abdomen and was controlled by the 2 siblings. The weapon he used was an ion blade that was incomparably sharp. This time, Mr. Mighty's opponent was Captain Dragonfly. Captain Dragonfly's strength was not weak and was good at speed, especially Captain Dragonfly's move, short-distance flight. It could take the opportunity to fly behind the enemy and suddenly attack. Unfortunately, Captain Dragonfly's attack power was too weak. In order to increase its speed, Captain Dragonfly's body was too light, so its attack power was insufficient. This gave Mr. Mighty, who had thick skin, an opportunity to take advantage of. After grabbing one of Captain Dragonfly's legs, Mr. Mighty activated his bullying mode and defeated Captain Dragonfly. After exchanging a few pleasantries with the guests, Wang Zhong sat alone at the table and pondered. His ultimate goal was to become the ruler of the upper class. It was obviously impossible for him to become a small bar owner here. Wang Zhong thought about it. At the very least, he wanted to become an alien and head to the space carrier above Steel City. Only then would he be able to rule the upper class. According to his understanding during this time, there was only one way to become an upper class. That was to win 20 consecutive matches in the Mechanical Coliseum. There, other than not allowing the use of firearms, there were almost no other rules. You could hide in a strong Gundam, and use the joystick to fight against the enemy. You could also modify your limbs and become a cyborg. You could even install external machinery on your limbs. As long as it was a machine, as long as there were no firearms, you could sign up for the Colosseum. Wang Zhong couldn't help but clench his fist. He had already made preparations during this time. He contacted the best mechanic on the street and had already customized a Gundam. This Gundam was more than 4 meters tall, and its body was slightly bloated. After all, he would be hiding inside the Gundam to control it. But its speed wasn't slow. The Gundam's limbs were designed with wheels, and there was an airbag on its back, allowing it to fly for a short period of time. The strength of its punch reached up to a ton. It was so strong that there were probably not many people in the entire Colosseum who could match this Gundam. The only problem now was that he had too little time to train. Once he got his hands on the Gundam, it would take him a long time to familiarize himself with it. He would probably have to wait until next year to participate in the competition. What he was worried about now was that he didn't have enough time. Just as he was thinking, Wang Zhong quietly took out his family's heirloom, the krypton metal that he had hidden under his parents' bed. According to Apocalypse's introduction, this piece of krypton metal was the hardest known metal in the entire universe. It was extremely precious. Machines built with this metal had extremely strong combat power. Wang Zhong was now thinking about whether he should show this piece of krypton metal to the mechanic and find a way to build this piece of metal into a machine. After thinking about it, he shook his head. Krypton metal was too precious. It was said that even an alien would want to covet a small piece of krypton metal. If he took it out rashly and was discovered by an alien, he wouldn't even know how he died. I have to find an absolutely trustworthy mechanic to build it. After taking a sip of wine, he suddenly heard scolding outside. Damn it, UB*TCH, how dare you steal my things? Slap. The crisp slap was deafening, followed by the hoarse voice of a woman begging for mercy and the scolding of a burly man. Wang Zhong's 2 waiters had already walked over. Sir, fighting is not allowed here. If you want to fight, please go out and deal with it. Wang Zhong also walked over. It looked like a drunk man had hooked up with a prostitute. This prostitute wanted to secretly scan his electronic bracelet and steal energy points while he was drunk. This kind of thing happened too often in places like bars. Wang Zhong was already used to it and didn't find it strange. Just as he was about to drive them away, Wang Zhong was unexpectedly stunned when he casually glanced at them. It turned out to be an old acquaintance. He didn't expect to meet Yi Hui, whom he hadn't seen for more than a year here. At that time, the two of them were hiding in a narrow iron box. After landing, they were robbed by the gangsters. Yi Hui's 2 robots bought some time for her to escape. She turned around and ran away. Originally, Wang Zhong thought that since Yi Hui had so many energy points on her, she should have a good life after escaping. But now, it seemed that she was living an ordinary life and was reduced to a beggar. Damn it! How dare you steal my things? I'll break your legs. The burly man scolded and was ready to teach Yi Hui a lesson. Under Yi Hui's frightened eyes, her movements were exceptionally agile. She threw out a small bottle and sprayed it at the burly man. The burly man didn't know what liquid was in the small bottle. He covered his eyes and screamed, "Ah, catch her for me, this hateful rat. I'm going to play with her." Several of the burly man's brothers pounced on Yi Hui. Yi Hui jumped off the table and ran out of the door. Sister Qi. After Yi Hui escaped, Wang Zhong immediately picked up the bracelet to inform Tian Qi. What's wrong, Xiaobai? Use the surveillance cameras on the road. I need to know where that woman went. Okay, I'll show you the location right away. Chapter 7:15. Huff huff. In a dark corner, a slender woman with dry hair and a black veil was running with all her might. After running for a long time, she hid beside a pile of trash cans and hid herself inside. This was where she often stayed. Every time she was chased, she would hide here. This place stank. Usually, no one would come here. Even if there were, they would be old scavengers, beggars, and drunkards. This person was Skinny Yi, who had just escaped from the bar. Her real name was Yi Hui. Her expression was ferocious, and her muscles were tense. Recalling the scene in the bar, she could not help but feel annoyed. She felt that she had made a mistake. She was about to succeed and steal at least thousands of energy points. However, that person's good friend wanted to drink with him. She was discovered on the spot when she was about to steal something. She touched her stomach. She had not eaten for a long time. Recently, she had been eating the rats in this alley. At this time, a small cockroach crawled over. She quickly caught it and skillfully threw it into her mouth and chewed. As she ate, she suddenly cried. She remembered when she was young. When she was young, she and her sister lived like this in the slave community. At that time, their parents met with an accident in the mining area and both died. They had no place to live, and could only live on the streets. Fortunately, her sister was strong at that time and joined the mining team. Relying on some tricks, the two sisters finally formed a mining team and began to contract work. They became contractors. Although the days after that were not bad, the two of them yearned for the life of the upper class since young. Therefore, she was the first to come. Originally, he had wanted to mingle around here, and then use the snakehead to bring his sister up. However, things did not go as she wished. She did not expect that in just a year, she would become like this. Ho ho ho, Yi Hui cried sadly. She thought about how she originally had millions of energy points. She did not expect that they were all cheated. This was what happened. Originally, Yi Hui had already escaped with the half-human monster. As a big sister, she naturally understood the principle of sitting around and eating, so she prepared to do some business. She felt that her skills in manufacturing machinery were not bad, so she prepared to open a machinery shop that specialized in manufacturing mechanical limbs for customers. Her luck was not bad. She completed several orders in a row, and gradually became famous. However, she didn't expect that her business would affect the interests of others. A shop that had sponsored a gladiatorial competition found a person and deliberately said that the mechanical limb she installed had malfunctioned and wanted compensation. Naturally, Yi Hui refused. Those people smashed her shop without saying a word. By the time the Decurion came over to maintain order, those people had already left. After suffering a loss, Yi Hui considered asking for help. That was the only way to ensure her own interests. The person they invited was indeed very powerful. He was the local tyrant here. The two of them started working together. But after working together for a month, that group of people used all sorts of reasons to ask for energy points. In the end, she found out that those people were acquainted with the mastermind who had tricked her. Of course, she wouldn't sit still and wait for death. Therefore, she wanted to break off the partnership immediately, but it was too late. They used the breach of contract as an excuse to demand compensation from her. This was bullying Yi Hui because she was new to the slave community and didn't know the rules here. In the end, Yi Hui had no choice but to hand over all her energy points after being surrounded by dozens of Decurions. At that time, she was only left with 75 energy points and became a pauper. In the days that followed, she worked as a dishwasher and a coolie. However, those people were either unwilling to pay her and were only willing to give Yi Hui some food, or they tricked Yi Hui into working and chased her away after she finished. Poor Yi Hui persevered for 3 months before she was finally penniless. In the end, she ended up here and did what she used to do when she was young, which was stealing. Especially when she ran away from the bar just now, she seemed to have seen someone familiar. Abai. That person who came to Steel City with her was actually not dead. And judging from his clothes, he seemed to be doing well. This made her feel very uncomfortable. Sister, what should I do now? Yi Hui said in a daze. She was drowsy and wanted to sleep. Creak, creak, creak. Yi Hui's eyes lit up. She heard something coming from outside. Usually no one would come here. Who could it be? Clang, clang, clang. Suddenly, the trash can covering her was lifted. The burly man who she had almost stolen his energy points from smiled at her. So our little mouse was hiding here. Ha ha ha, I knew I wasn't mistaken. She ran here. Little mouse, this place stinks. Let's go back to my house. I'll take you to take a bath. The burly man grabbed Yi Hui's wrist and laughed. The people around them also laughed. This place was very remote. The Decurion would not come here. They would knock Yi Hui unconscious and put her in the car. When they arrived at their territory, Yi Hui would not be able to escape. These people could tell that Yi Hui was quite pretty. Otherwise, they would not have chased her all the way here. Yi Hui was terrified. She was really scared this time. Let me go. I'm a mechanic. I can modify anything for you. Hee hee hee, she said she's a mechanic. Don't be noisy. I'm also an alien. Little mouse, are you going to create a Decurion for Grandpa? Yi Hui shook her head with an aggrieved expression. If you can't even make a Decurion, then what are you talking about? The burly man dragged Yi Hui out by her hair. No, no, Yi Hui screamed. However, this did not make these people stop. Instead, it made them laugh. Cough, cough, cough. What are you doing? At this moment, a masked man walked out from the entrance of the alley. We're teaching a thief a lesson. If there's nothing else, make way. The burly man was not arrogant enough to scold him directly. He was prepared to let the masked man know what was good for him and leave. Oh, the masked man nodded and said to Yi Hui, Skinny, do you remember what I said before? One day you'll beg me. Yi Hui's eyes widened. She shouted, Bye. The person who came was Wang Zhong. This time, he was not here to save people. He was here to confirm something. Bye, save me. I beg you, save me. Yi Hui did not care about acting tough. She knew what would happen if she fell into the hands of these people. The result would be terrible. In comparison, she would rather go to Abai. At least she had not mistreated him before. There was no deep hatred between them. Abai, save me. Upon seeing Wang Zhong's appearance, the few robust men's expressions turned solemn. Why aren't you leaving yet? She's my woman. Let her go. You can go. Wang Zhong walked over. One of the men who had drunk a little too much rushed over, unconvinced. At this time, two robots walked out from behind Wang Zhong. The two robots were holding hammers in their hands. They looked like tigers eyeing their prey, ready to fight. This made the group of burly men stop immediately. They did not dare to move forward. Go. Without the slightest hesitation, these people turned around and ran. Wang Zhong walked to Yi Hui and reached out to lift her chin. TSK, TSK, TSK. Second sister, look at you. You're so miserable. Yi Hui shook off Wang Zhong's hand and said coldly, You may have saved me, but don't try to take a mile after taking an inch. Oh, you have quite a temper. Wang Zhong smiled. Don't worry, I don't want to save you. I just want to see if you're useful to me. What do you mean? Come with me and you'll know. Wang Zhong took out a spray and sprayed it at Yi Hui. Yi Hui passed out instantly. After some time, Yi Hui, who was unconscious, slowly woke up. She had a nightmare. She dreamed that she was dragged out by a group of gangsters, who then did something to her. In the end, she found out that the mastermind was actually Abai. Yes, it was her former subordinate. She did not pay attention to Abai before, but now she found that Abai was terrifying. She found that she could not see through him. No, don't come over. Don't come over. In the nightmare, Wang Zhong held a deadly long rod and approached her step by step. Yi Hui screamed and suddenly opened her eyes in the nightmare. Who am I? Where am I? Yi Hui subconsciously looked around. She was not surrounded by the familiar trash cans or piles of garbage. There was no unpleasant smell. Instead, she was in a small room that was not luxurious but was very clean. The bedding was clean and very warm. She rubbed her chin and felt the warmth of the bed, which made her nervous heart gradually relax. It had been a long time since she slept in such a warm bed. She even forgot how it felt to sleep in a bed. Beep, beep, beep. At this time, a black service robot slid in. She recognized this robot. Strictly speaking, it was the simplest service robot. Its brain only had a simple command chip. This robot would only carry out orders when the master gave it. Its function was very simple, and it could only do some service work. For example, it could serve tea, water, or plates. In Steel City, this kind of service robot was most commonly used in bars. Hello, the boss asked me to bring you some food. Please enjoy. The robot emotionlessly came in front of Yi Hui. On top of its head was a plate with some porridge, milk, bread, and cream. How long had it been? She had forgotten how long it had been since she last ate this fresh food. Immediately, she greedily wolfed it down. 10 minutes later, all the food was swept clean by her. She had never thought that bread could be so delicious. Yes, it was much better than rat meat. It seems that the food is to your liking. At this time, Wang Zhong walked in. Thank you, Abai. Yi Huihui looked at Wang Zhong vigilantly, her eyes complicated. She had clearly threatened him before, and she had clearly wanted to kill him. She did not expect that the person who saved her in the end was him. He was a good person. However, Wang Zhong's next words caused her to be stunned. Chapter 7:16. Don't be in such a hurry to thank me. I didn't save you just for you to say thank you. I saved you because you're useful. Why else do you think I saved you? Wang Zhong's tone was flat. He did not take Yi Huihui seriously at all. I knew it. Yi Huihui smiled bitterly. She knew it. Based on their previous interactions, Abai was naturally cunning and cold-blooded. How could such a poisonous snake save her for no reason? Sure enough. Tell me, what else can I do? I'm running a bar now, and I need a few strippers. I see that you're pretty, so why don't you work at my place? What? Yi Huihui's face changed. Her face was full of anger. You're shameless. My sister and I treated you so well. How dare you treat me like this? Wang Zhong said coldly. That's because I can bring you benefits. If I can't, I'll see if you'll still treat me like this. Anyway, you can't make me do anything I don't want to do. Is that so? If that's the case, I can only do this. Wang Zhong sighed softly. He knew that when dealing with such an arrogant and despotic woman, he couldn't reason with her. He could only use his fists to subdue her. Come in, Wang Zhong ordered. A robot walked out from behind him. Yi Huihui looked at it and was stunned. Half-human monster. Yes, it was Yi Huihui's former bodyguard, half-human monster. Later, she was cheated of all her energy points. She had no choice but to sell half-human monster to someone else. Who would have thought that in the blink of an eye, half-human monster would become Wang Zhong's pet? What a coincidence. I saw a machinist merchant selling this little thing when I was shopping. I liked it so I bought it. By the way, she's not called half-human monster anymore. She's called Terminator. What do you want? Yi Huihui asked angrily. You don't want to be a prostitute, right? If that's the case, I'll have to force you. Wang Zhong smiled. Terminator. Master, what are your orders? The Terminator stood before Wang Zhong, his eyes calm. Ever since Wang Zhong had bought this half-human monster, he had upgraded her. With the help of the Apocalypse AI, the AI chip inside would only listen to him. Take off her clothes and send her to the bar downstairs. Let everyone see what she looks like without clothes, Wang Zhong said calmly, as if he was talking about something trivial. Yi Huihui's eyes widened. No, you can't do that. Why can't I do that? You have to understand that if I didn't save you, you would have died a long time ago, so you are now mine. Wang Zhong shrugged. Since you are no longer of any use to me, then take advantage of the situation. You're wrong. I'm actually still useful. I'm a mechanic. If the robots in your bar break down, I can modify them. I'll definitely be of great help to you. Is that so? Wang Zhong smiled in his heart. Finally, Yi Huihui took the initiative to say this. The reason why he wanted to save Yi Huihui was because of her ability as a mechanic. If he wanted to become an alien in the future, he would have to participate in the Mech Gladiator tournament. Yi Huihui's ability to modify machines was very good. She had this ability. You really know how to do it. Of course I know how to do it. You've been to my lab before. I've done research on this. There's one thing that I'm curious about. As far as I know, you and your sister have never been taught by an expert. So how did you learn how to modify machines? Wang Zhong asked. Because when we were young, we picked up a USB drive. It recorded the knowledge of mechanical modification. At that time, my sister was mining, and I had nothing to do, so I studied it at home. Later, I modified a lot of mining tools, and I gradually learned how to do it. Then your luck is really good. Abai, so let me go. I know you're deliberately angering me. In the future, I will definitely respect you. I beg you. Yi Hui completely put down her pride and pleaded. Okay, I have a Gundam. I hope you can help me take a look. They went outside to a laboratory that Wang Zhong had specially rented. Inside was a Gundam that he had bought from another mechanic. However, this Gundam had many flaws. Wang Zhong wanted Yi Hui to take a look at it. Maybe there would be some improvements. This Gundam is very exquisite, but, why did you buy this Gundam? You don't seem to need it. Yi Hui was very puzzled. In her opinion, buying this Gundam was not as practical as buying a robot that was about the same strength as a Decanus. This kind of cumbersome guy could not walk on the streets casually. It was even more impossible for him to be a bodyguard in a bar. He could not even enter the bar. She did not understand. Wang Zhong did not intend to hide anything. He replied, because I want to participate in the Mech Gladiator Tournament. What? Mech Gladiator Tournament? Yi Hui's face turned red. Are you crazy? Using this thing to participate in the Mech Gladiator Tournament? You won't even know how you died. Is my Gundam very weak? Of course. Do you know that the machines that can participate in the Mech Gladiator Tournament are all supported by large financial groups? Whether it is the mechanical craftsmanship or the weapons used, they are all carefully selected and expensive. This pile of scrap metal is simply... Yi Hui was obviously worried that she would anger Wang Zhong, so she did not continue. Wang Zhong's expression was heavy. In fact, after he bought this Gundam, he did not feel that it was very powerful. Although the mechanic bragged that this thing was powerful and could punch through a wall, its defense was very weak. There was no obvious advantage in terms of speed. Do you have any way to modify this Gundam? I need to improve all aspects of its stats. Yi Hui shook her head without hesitation and said, Impossible. This Gundam's foundation is too weak. How about this? Let me show you something. Wang Zhong went out for a while and returned to the office to retrieve the Krypton metal. Take a look at this. This is, after receiving the Krypton metal, Yi Hui's expression gradually changed from doubt to surprise, and finally to excitement. You actually have Krypton metal. You know this thing. Wang Zhong was overjoyed. He thought to himself that he had found the right person. Yi Hui knew about this thing. Of course I know. In that USB drive, Krypton metal is known as the most magical and hardest metal in the universe. Moreover, this metal is very light. If it is made into a battle suit, the battle suit will have very soft characteristics. In short, it has many functions. Yi Hui touched this piece of metal and suddenly focused her eyes. No, this is a forged Krypton battle suit. Oh, Yi Hui looked at Wang Zhong with a complicated expression. How did you get such a precious battle suit? How do you know that this is a forged metal battle suit? It's very simple. Krypton metal is special. It almost doesn't need to be forged. Its material can be made into anything. The most common thing in every country is to forge Krypton metal into metal battle suits. This kind of metal battle suit has a key lock. After it is opened, it can be pieced together on the owner's body. The reason why I can tell is that before Krypton metal is forged, its surface is usually bumpy. But this one doesn't. The surface is very smooth. It has obviously been forged. Is that so? Wang Zhong was also very excited. He didn't expect that this piece of Krypton metal was actually a forged Krypton battle suit. But the problem now was how to unlock the key lock on the metal battle suit. Do you know how to unlock the key lock? Wang Zhong asked. This is almost impossible. Yi Hui shook her head. Why do you say that? The metal battle suit is a heavy armor on the battleship. If you want to unlock it, there is only one way, and that is to enter the space battleship. The armor cabin in the space battleship can unlock the battle suit. As long as the battle suit recognizes you as its owner, you can wear it. But this is almost impossible. There are no battleships on our planet, except for the space carriers of the aliens in the sky. Wang Zhong understood immediately. To unlock the battle suit, he had to go to the space carriers. But the space carriers could only be entered by aliens. This was almost unsolvable. I understand. Familiarize yourself with the environment here. As long as you do as I say, I won't do anything to you. Yi Huihui nodded with a complicated expression. After Wang Zhong left, she breathed a sigh of relief and muttered nervously, "This guy, he actually has a Krypton battle suit." Back in the office, she turned on the 3D smart computer and projected the image of Apocalypse. "Sister Apocalypse?" Wang Zhong nodded tiredly. "Tang Bai, you look very tired. You need to rest." Apocalypse nodded. "No, I'm not tired. It's just that some things are very complicated." "I'm willing to listen." "It's like this," Wang Zhong told her about the Krypton metal and the key lock to unlock the Krypton battle suit. "So this is the Krypton battle suit. I do know about it. Unfortunately, I couldn't touch the Krypton metal in your hand, so I didn't know it was a finished product of the Krypton battle suit," Apocalypse said apologetically. From this, it could be seen that Apocalypse was a smart computer, but it wasn't omnipotent. Now the question is, how do I unlock the Krypton battle suit? According to my information, this thing can only be unlocked on a spaceship. So that's the case. Wang Zhong shook his head helplessly. If that was the case, it would be troublesome. They were back to square one. "You don't have to worry. In fact, you don't necessarily need to go to the space carriers above here. As far as I know, there are countless battleship wreckages on this planet. Although these battleship wreckages can't take off, many of them are still useful. You can go there to unlock the battle suit." Apocalypse's words gave Wang Zhong a lot of confidence. He decided that the next step of his plan was to search for the battleship wreckages left behind by this world. Then, according to Apocalypse's information, he searched for the battleship wreckages. There were many wreckages, but without exception, they were all in the periphery of the slave community. Chapter 717. Coordinates 583, 598, 09887. A warship was ambushed at this location, and several dozen warships crashed. 100 Auspicious Canyon. This used to be the planet's largest waterfall. A starship once docked here, but it was ambushed and crashed. The civilization giant statue was destroyed by several dozen warships. Afterward, the troops were counterattacked by local anti-air missiles, and the warship crashed. In Wang Zhong's office, he browsed through the information sent by Tianqi regarding the past battles of this planet. Wang Zhong was overwhelmed with emotions. This planet had experienced far more than he had imagined. These are the possible locations of the warship wreckage. The closest one is Clear River Valley, about 100 kilometers east of the slave community. Tianqi listed out a 3D map for Wang Zhong to see. The 3D map in front of him was very clear, showing the situation outside the slave community. From Tianqi, Wang Zhong also learned why this planet only had two major cities left: the slave community and Steel City. That was because the outer area of the slave community was shrouded in nuclear radiation and poisonous gas. And the slave community and Steel City weren't spared from the radiation because of geographical reasons. It was because these two places were located below the starship. Under the protection of the starship's light screen, the nuclear radiation and poisonous gas couldn't corrode these two places. The outer area was no longer suitable for humans to live in, but life in nature was tenacious and extremely adaptable to all kinds of environments. After such a long period of development, the nuclear radiation and poisonous gas had given birth to countless mutated beasts and poisonous insects. Thus, if ordinary people wanted to go to the outer area of the slave community, not only would they have to resist the nuclear radiation, they would also have to worry about the attacks of mutated beasts. It wasn't as if no one had gone out to explore. For example, there were a few exploration teams within Steel City. These exploration teams use small modified helicopters or simple spaceships to explore various places. There were naturally many dangers, and their lives could be in danger at any time, but there were also many people who made a fortune. Without exception, these people all had fortuitous encounters such as finding precious metals, high-tech robots, and even some armor. If these things were sold in Steel City, they would attract financial groups to buy them at high prices. The purpose of buying them was very simple: to participate in the Mechanical Coliseum. Clear River Valley. Wang Zhong pointed at the target on the screen and nodded. Then let's go there. Well, according to the satellite investigation, the nuclear radiation in this place is not serious. But before the Battle of the Black Curtain, there was a biochemical leak here, and there is a lot of poisonous gas. If you go here, you have to pay attention to the poisonous gas protection. I understand. After making the decision, Wang Zhong began to make arrangements for the trip to Qinghe Valley in the following days. First, he had to install a poison gas control room inside his Gundam. Next were the safety masks and gas masks. There were a total of 3 layers of protection to ensure the absolute safety of the cockpit. Yi Huihui's ability was not bad. Under her modification, the poison gas control room was completed within a month. 2 months later, the Gundam's bones and wiring had all been optimized. There was only one ion blade for its weapon. Although the ion knife was sharp, it consumed a lot of energy. Wang Zhong was worried that he would not be able to replenish his energy after he left. So at his request, 2 alloy blades were installed on the back of the Gundam. This was an authentic cold weapon. It was not as good as the ion knife, but it was already a good knife that could cut through iron like mud. 3 months later, the Gundam's modifications were completed. Looking at the majestic Gundam, Wang Zhong nodded silently. From now on, it will be called Blade. Yi Huihui, you did a good job. The last step is to install a small jet aircraft on the back. Most of the jet aircraft were external products of Gundam and could not fly long distances. They could only make a few jumps within a range of tens of meters. A jet with a full energy source could only be used 5 times, but 5 times was enough. Just think about it. If he were to encounter a dangerous situation and get surrounded, wouldn't he be able to get out of danger with the help of this jet engine sheet? Therefore, although the price was expensive, Wang Zhong still gritted his teeth and bought it. Apart from that, the Terminator, originally a half-human monster, was also modified. 2 alloy blades were added, and the jumping power of its feet was increased. Its speed was also increased. Under Apocalypse's suggestion, the combat chip in the Terminator's brain was also replaced with a more powerful fluid chip, greatly increasing its combat power. In order to ensure safety, Wang Zhong bought 4 heavy-duty robots, as well as a speed-type Gundam. In addition to the heavy-duty robots' powerful attack power, Wang Zhong mainly used them to carry energy. As for the Gundam, it was bought for Yi Huihui. That's right, this time, Wang Zhong planned to bring Yi Huihui along. The main thing was that if the machine encountered a malfunction on the way, Yi Huihui would have to deal with it. What, you want me to go too? Hearing Wang Zhong's words, Yi Huihui frowned. She was not stupid, and she knew that going out was very dangerous. You're crazy. It's fine if you want to participate in the Mech Gladiator tournament, but why do you want to go to such a dangerous place? Yi Huihui could not understand Wang Zhong's thoughts. In her opinion, Wang Zhong's life in Steel City was already very good. He had his own business, earned a lot of energy points, and had so many robots working for him. He didn't have to worry about food and clothing, so why would he want to do such a dangerous thing? You don't need to worry about that. I'm your boss now. Just do as I say. But I also want to go to such a dangerous place. I have the right to know. Wang Zhong glanced at the stubborn Yi Huihui and nodded. Fine, it's fine to tell you. I've received news that there are battleship remains there. There should be energy inside. If it's not damaged, it can unlock my Krypton metal combat suit. When the time comes, I can use it to participate in the tournament. You're crazy. You want to become an alien so badly? Do you want to spend the rest of your life in a damned place like Steel City? Yi Huihui was silent. Wang Zhong continued. Don't worry. As long as you work hard for me, I'll find a way to bring your sister up here and pick up my mother. Really? Yi Huihui was incredulous. Why would I lie to you? Besides, when I pick up my mother, I'll need your sister's help. We can work together, can't we? Okay, I'll do it. Fatty Yi was the only person in the world that Yi Huihui still cared about, so she immediately agreed to Wang Zhong's request. From this day onwards, Yi Huihui began to modify her speed-type Gundam. The weapon was the same as Wang Zhong's modification. The difference was that Wang Zhong's Gundam was a speed-type and heavy-type Gundam, which focused on armor protection. On the other hand, Yi Huihui focused on speed. Her Gundam couldn't bear a heavy load, but it was faster and had a strong jumping ability. Just like Wang Zhong's blade, she also installed a jet plug-in on the Gundam. After that, she named her Gundam Face Ya. Blade Peter Pan officially completed the modification. In the blink of an eye, Wang Zhong was 20 years old. During this time, Yi Huihui also finished modifying the 4 heavy-type robots. 2 Gundams, 4 heavy-type robots, 1 MCV, and the Terminator. This was all that she had to bring with her on this trip. What she needed to find now was the snake head. There were all kinds of people in the bar. After so many years, Wang Zhong was naturally familiar with some stowaways. There were a lot of stowaways, and one of them was called the Dinosaur Brave Team, which caught Wang Zhong's eye. The success rate of this team was very high, and the team had a simple cargo airship that could accommodate 2 armored vehicles. The leader of this group was called Magari, a dark-skinned guy. Wang Zhong had drunk with him a few times, and he was a good person. After hearing that Wang Zhong was going to the Qinghe Valley, Magari offered a price, and Wang Zhong readily agreed. 3 months later, Wang Zhong drove the transport vehicle to the garbage dump. After a few turns, Magari led Wang Zhong to a cargo airship. "This is my baby, I call her Lucky Goddess." Magari was excited when he talked about his cargo airship. Obviously, this was his baby. After discussion, Wang Zhong paid half of the money in advance, and when he called, Magari would drive the airship to pick them up. The airship was very large, and this was Wang Zhong's first time in an airship. There were dozens of crew members inside. Wang Zhong and Yi Huihui stayed in the transport cabin at the rear of the airship, sitting in their own transport vehicle. Behind the vehicle were 2 Gundams, 4 heavy-type robots, and the Terminator. "The airship is taking off, sit tight." Magari's voice resounded through the interior of the airship. Whoosh! The airship slowly rose and then turned into a stream of light. The journey was long, but the airship's speed was fast. It took more than an hour for the airship to reach the destination. After many years without human presence, the place outside the slave community had become an ancient forest. But because of radiation and poisonous gas, the original animals in the forest had mutated, so it was very dangerous. "Mr. Bai, good luck." After disembarking from the airship, McGarley said goodbye and left. Wang Zhong and Yi Huihui sat in the Gundam and looked around. The surrounding trees were tall, and the environment was beautiful. However, according to the air test inside the Gundam, there was a deadly paralyzing toxin in the air. If a human smelled it, their nerves would be paralyzed immediately, and they would not be able to move. "Let's go." Wang Zhong nodded to Yi Huihui and controlled the Gundam to walk toward the river in the Qinghe Valley. According to historical records, a space carrier and dozens of battleships had fallen here. The mechanical squad walked in the forest, surrounded by rare birds and beasts. They would attack the mechanical squad from time to time, but Wang Zhong dealt with them safely. Finally, they came to the river. "Let's go." Wang Zhong nodded to Yi Huihui. Yi Huihui gestured and controlled the Gundam to jump down. Chapter 718. As the cutting-edge high-tech product on this planet, the Gundam was naturally waterproof. After Wang Zhong jumped into the water with Yi Huihui, the intelligent panel in front of him immediately displayed the data in the water. What surprised Wang Zhong was that the water in this area was very clean. However, there were giant snakes and crocodiles in the water. One of the giant snakes bit him. Fortunately, Wang Zhong threw out his alloy knife and stabbed the giant snake. The giant snake shook off Wang Zhong in pain and turned to run away. These giant snakes were obviously intelligent. They sensed that Wang Zhong was not to be trifled with and ran away. It's a pity about this environment. If there were no such terrifying creatures, it would be nice to live here. Wang Zhong lamented. At the bottom of the lake, Yi Huihui had already controlled the Gundam to stand in front of a huge battleship. This battleship was the largest one scanned by the radar. It should be a space carrier and was hundreds of meters long. Although thousands of years had passed, the surface of the battleship still had a metallic luster. This meant that the metal used to make the battleship was not ordinary metal. The material was very good. Wang Zhong finally reached the bottom of the lake. He stepped on the muddy ground and slowly walked to the battleship's cabin door. "Sister Chi, What should I do next? Because the Apocalypse artificial intelligence system was connected to the planet's network through the satellite, Wang Zhong could contact the Apocalypse artificial intelligence system even at the bottom of the lake. However, the signal was very poor and the Apocalypse's voice was intermittent. Bye, I'll send you the information of this battleship. There's a blueprint on it. Find the cabin door according to the structure. Okay, thank you, Sister Qi. A three-dimensional image of the battleship appeared in front of Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong also sent the three-dimensional image to Yi Huihui and said, Yi Huihui, take a look. Okay. After receiving Wang Zhong's three-dimensional image, Yi Huihui was stunned. Bye, where did you get the image of the battleship's interior? It's so complete. Even the specific functions of each cabin are marked. I got it from a secret channel before I came. Wang Zhong responded casually and continued, let's start. Our destination is this cabin called Armor. Alright. Arriving at the door, Yi Huihui took out her ion knife and began to cut open the damaged battleship door. As the hatch was cut open, water poured into the warship. After Wang Zhong and Yi Huihui entered the battleship, they fixed the hatchback and arranged for two heavy armored robots to weld the hatchback to prevent water from entering the cabin again. Thousands of years had passed, but the interior of the battleship was still very new. There wasn't even a speck of dust. The two of them walked in the interior of the battleship and were curious about everything. This was the battleship of the past. Even after so long, it still looked brand new. What kind of country was able to create such a huge monster? Wang Zhong couldn't help but yearn for the past. At that time, the people of this country must have been very happy. When Yi Huihui was leaving, she felt strange. The feeling that Wang Zhong gave her was that he was smart at first, but now, she felt that she could not see through him. It was as if Wang Zhong was omnipotent. He actually knew the internal structure of the battleship. This was simply unbelievable. What kind of background does this guy have? Yi Huihui was puzzled. At this moment, she felt that Wang Zhong seemed to be able to succeed and become an alien in the universe above her head. When they came to the armored hatch, it was not damaged at all. After detecting that there were no dangerous factors such as poisonous gas, Wang Zhong walked out of the armor and came to the door. With Apocalypse's connection, the battleship automatically opened the door and let Wang Zhong in. I have connected to this battleship. There is still some energy inside. The main weapon and the cockpit are damaged, but this armored hatch is still intact. You can unlock the Krypton metal armor. Apocalypse's words made Wang Zhong overjoyed. He carried the Krypton metal armor into the hatch and saw some single-person armor installation rooms lying around. These small installation rooms were used to unlock the armor. After entering these small rooms, the armor would be unlocked and decomposed. From then on, the Krypton metal armor would automatically recognize its owner. It would also be very convenient to carry in the future. The Krypton metal armor was the most flexible external armor here. Following Apocalypse's instructions, Wang Zhong entered the installation room. A mechanical voice came from inside. Detected Krypton metal armor. Unlock. Yes, Wang Zhong said calmly. Battlesuit unlocking. Yi Huihui was bored outside at this time. Because she had nothing to do, she went to the armory from time to time and found many weapons that she had never seen before. These weapons did not seem to be used on land, but in the universe. Unfortunately, the lifespan of the weapons here was not as long as that of the battleship. The energy blocks of these weapons had long been used up. I wonder what Abai's Krypton metal armor will be like. Yi Huihui was a little envious. If this armor was given to her, it would not be difficult to get first place in the mechanical gladiator tournament. After an unknown amount of time, Yi Huihui walked through every cabin and found several wreckage that had been reduced to bones. At this time, she heard footsteps behind her. Wang Zhong slowly walked out of the door of the armored cabin. He was not wearing any armor, which made Yi Huihui feel strange. She controlled the Gundam and walked over. Abai, where's your Krypton metal armor? Wang Zhong looked at the square tattoo on his palm and said, It fused with me. Fused? Yi Huihui wanted to ask more, but Wang Zhong obviously did not want to say anything. After returning to the Gundam, he was ready to leave. After leaving, Wang Zhong did not go back immediately. Instead, he controlled the Gundam to wander around. On one hand, he wanted to understand what this world was like. On the other hand, he wanted to practice his control of the Gundam. Late at night, Yi Hui was warming a fire at the entrance of a cave, preparing to boil some water to drink. Wang Zhong came alone under a big tree, looked at the square tattoo on his palm, and whispered, "Armor possession." Suddenly, metal flowed all over his body like water. In just 2 seconds, Wang Zhong's whole body was wrapped in metal armor. His body was bigger than before, but it did not affect his speed. Instead, Wang Zhong felt that he was now faster. "Ion blade," Wang Zhong whispered, and a blade that was glowing with a green light appeared in his hand. "Kill." Wang Zhong fought alone in the forest. His smooth movements made Wang Zhong feel more and more comfortable. He felt that he did not even need to familiarize himself with controlling the Krypton metal armor. He just needed to follow his instinct. Although the armor was strong, there was a disadvantage, which was that it consumed a lot of energy. There was a protruding part at the wrist of the armor, where the crystal block was installed. A crystal block was worth tens of thousands of energy points. It could be used for several hours. One could imagine how ridiculous the price was. In the following days, Wang Zhong and Yi Hui explored the forest during the day, and Wang Zhong familiarized himself with the Krypton metal armor at night. 3 months later, Wang Zhong contacted McGarry. 1 day later, McGarry drove his airship to pick up Wang Zhong. The two left this unforgettable place. In fact, it was not bad to live in such a place. Inside the airship, Yi Hui looked at the beautiful scenery outside the window and sighed. "Yes, it's aloof from worldly affairs and carefree. Actually, we can build a small house there. What do you think?" Yi Hui said expectantly. At this moment, she probably did not expect that the Yi sisters, who used to be all-powerful, would say such a thing. Wang Zhong looked at Yi Hui in surprise and shook his head. "My goal is the universe." The next step was to pick up his mother, take care of his affairs, and then participate in the competition. The airship slowly landed. However, to Wang Zhong's surprise, the airship was surrounded by dozens of robots. Leading them was McGarry and the bald guy. "Bald guy." Yi Hui saw them, and was so anxious that her eyes turned red. Because it was this person who caused her to be in such a miserable state. This bald guy was called Chen Wei. As a snake, he and McGarry both knew each other. Not long ago, McGarry talked about Wang Zhong and Yi Hui. He also complained that Wang Zhong was a tycoon for spending so many energy points on a trip. The speaker was not paying attention, but the listener was paying attention. Chen Wei was tempted. He knew that Wang Zhong and Yi Hui were from the slave community. Chen Wei had always looked down on the people there. Therefore, he immediately suggested to McGarry to kidnap them this time. McGarry was not very willing at first because Wang Zhong had 2 Gundams and several heavy armored robots. He could not afford to offend them. However, Chen Wei promised that he could get more than 20 robots to deal with them. Therefore, McGarry agreed. "Yi Hui, I didn't expect you to find someone powerful. However, this is useless. If you're smart, hand over all your energy points." As Chen Wei spoke, the robots behind him surrounded them. Yi Hui frowned. They were not in the Gundams now. It was impossible to rely on these 4 heavy robots. Moreover, the heavy robots had almost exhausted their energy when they were outside. At this moment, they could barely walk. How could they fight these robots? These bastards. Yi Hui gritted her teeth and looked at Wang Zhong. To her surprise, Wang Zhong's expression was very calm. He just looked at McGarry calmly and said, "McGarry, I trusted you so much. You've really disappointed me. I gave you so many energy points. Are you still not satisfied?" To be honest, this was the first time McGarry betrayed a customer. Therefore, his expression was a little ugly. However, he quickly took a deep breath and said, "Cut the crap. Leave your energy points and robots and scram." Wang Zhong scanned his surroundings. The other party had 20 robots and over 30 hooligans. Wang Zhong clenched his fists and smiled. Today was the first day of his Krypton metal battlesuit. Chapter 719. Hey, what are you laughing at? Chen Wei was very dissatisfied with Wang Zhong's sudden laughter, and killing intent surged in his eyes. Steel City's punishment for murder was very severe, and they would be shot if they were caught. But they had to be caught first. In fact, most of the murders in Steel City were left unsolved, because for the people at the top, it didn't matter how many people at the bottom died. What they valued was energy points and the power in their hands. Wang Zhong suddenly raised his head, and a liquid-like metal armor appeared on the surface of his body. He rushed in front of Chen Wei and punched him in the head. It was so fast that no one could react. A few minutes later, with Wang Zhong's speed, the dozens of people on the other side were all dealt with. As for their robots, they were also beaten into a pile of scrap metal by Wang Zhong and thrown to the ground. Originally, Wang Zhong had asked Apocalypse whether it could use the virus to control these robots for its own use. Unfortunately, Apocalypse said that it couldn't. It was very simple. Every robot had a security mechanism, and the virus couldn't easily invade it. Even if it did, its existence would definitely be discovered by the alien supercomputer. If it was discovered, it would probably be erased by the supercomputer. Therefore, it didn't dare and couldn't do it. After ordering the 4 heavy-duty robots to deal with the corpses, Wang Zhong and Yi Huihui left the place. Returning to the bar that he hadn't visited for a long time, it was the same as before. The bar's business was good, and the staff were very responsible, which made Wang Zhong feel relieved. In the evening, Wang Zhong and Yi Huihui brought up the matter of picking up her sister and his mother. Yi Huihui was naturally very excited, patting her chest and saying that they should start preparing. Okay, let's start preparing. This time, contact a more reliable snakehead. After Wang Zhong finished speaking, he still felt that it wasn't very reliable. These days, no one could be trusted except for oneself. So he made a decision to do this himself. He still had to contact the snakehead, but he only needed to know a bit of the route. Wang Zhong had been preparing for this for 2 years. After all, this was a very big matter. Not only did he have to recruit people, but he also had to contact the snakehead with the airship, arrange the route, and secretly contact Fatty Yi in the slave community. There was too much work. On this day, Du Meili cooked a bowl of synthetic meat soup and a bowl of vegetable porridge. She ate quietly by herself. Her son, Abai, had left this place for a few years. Recently, she had often dreamed of her husband, Arun, and her eldest son, Ahe. Arun was still the same as before. He would grumble whenever he saw her, saying that they should save some energy at home, and that their youngest son had not bought a metal house yet. If they could not buy a metal house, he would not be able to marry a wife. However, he couldn't skimp on food. If a man was thin, no one would want him to work in the mines. In the dream, Du Meili comforted Arun. Don't worry, your son is very capable. Now he has gone to Steel City, and has become a superior person. In the dream, the husband and wife talked to each other, but when they woke up, Du Meili couldn't help but cry. It was not a good feeling to be alone. Moreover, her old illness had resurfaced in the past few years. Her body was getting worse and worse, and she felt that she wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer. Maybe. I can't wait until the day my son comes over. Du Meili took a sip of the broth and sighed. She felt that this was good. Her son came down to pick her up. She heard that this was considered illegal immigration, which was very dangerous. Therefore, she still felt that Wang Zhong should not come down. It was too dangerous. It was already dark outside. Du Meili lit a candle in the house. Just as she was about to eat and go back to her room to rest early, there was a knock on the door. Du Meili was stunned. She was too familiar with this knock. Every time Wang Zhong knocked on the door, he would knock 3 times. Then he would stop and knock 3 more times. Son. It was her son who had returned. Du Meili impatiently ran to open the door. Mom. The person at the door was naturally Wang Zhong. He had smuggled himself over. Son. Du Meili directly cried. After returning home, Wang Zhong stayed at home during the day, and went out at night to the mine to find the Yi sisters. Now, the Yi sisters looked at Wang Zhong with a complicated gaze, especially Fatty Yi. Several times he said to his sister, "No wonder after you left, Abai also disappeared. It turns out that he followed you." Afterward, The two sisters also felt some lingering fear. Fortunately, Wang Zhong had gone with them. Otherwise, Yi Huihui would have died in Steel City. Even if she did not die, she would probably be hiding in some corner at death's door. After discussing with the two sisters, the three of them decided that 7 days later, they would pretend to be rebels and launch an attack. However, what shocked Wang Zhong was that his mother was unwilling to go to Steel City. "Son, I'm already very happy to see you living such a good life. In the past, I also wanted to go to Steel City, but as I get older, I'm getting more and more unaccustomed to other places. This is the place where your father and I struggled. Your father and I barely managed to buy this house when your brother was 5 years old. I don't want this house to be deserted after I leave. Mom, but the environment here." Before Wang Zhong could finish, Du Meili smiled and said, "Although the environment here is not as good as Steel City, I'm used to it. I have a good relationship with the neighbors. It's really useless for me to go up." "Mom." Wang Zhong did not know what to say at this moment. He came down this time to bring his mother up, but he did not expect her to be unwilling. Although Wang Zhong tried his best to persuade her, Du Meili was indeed unwilling to go up. Wang Zhong had no choice but to agree. "Abai, don't come back to see me in the future. It's too dangerous. I'm already very happy to see you living such a good life." Wang Zhong nodded slightly. On the surface he agreed, but in fact he still wanted to visit his mother when he was free. Wang Zhong could actually understand his mother's thoughts. It was like a leaf returning to its roots when one was old. The plan began to be carried out. Snakehead's subordinates, pretending to be rebels, occupied a mineral vein and attracted the Decurian's army to attack. As for Fatty Yi, he was already hiding in a large barrel. The plan was carried out smoothly. Fatty Yi, Wang Zhong, and Yi Huihui safely arrived at Steel City. This world is actually like this. Fatty Yi felt very disappointed because the garbage dump was too big. The environment was similar to the garbage sinkhole next to the slave community. This was completely different from what he had imagined. This is too bad. The legendary place where upper-class people live is actually so bad. Sister, this is Steel City's garbage dump. Let's go to Abai's bar. The environment there is very good. Yi Huihui walked over and said. Okay. Fatty Yi nodded. She was somewhat regretful. If she had known that this place was so bad, she would have stayed in the slave community peacefully. Although there was no entertainment there, at least she was second only to one person, and above tens of thousands. There were so many slaves under her who listened to her orders. Now, her business was handed over to her second-in-command. If she did not go back for 3 to 5 years, there would be no one to clean up the mess. After hanging around in Steel City for more than a month, Fatty Yi really did not like it here, and finally proposed to return to the slave community. Although the slave community was monotonous, at least there were many pretty boys who could play with her. It was much more fun than Steel City. Knowing that her sister wanted to go back, Yi Huihui had no choice but to express her support. Fortunately, it was very convenient to return from Steel City. One only needed to take an airship to land outside the slave community's walls, and then climb over the wall to enter the slave community. This was a matter for the Yi sisters, so Wang Zhong did not worry too much about it. Now he was wholeheartedly researching how to win the gladiator tournament. Wang Zhong did not participate in the tournament at first. Instead, he bought 2 mechanic teams and invited 2 people to participate first. Of these 2 people, one was a strength-type player who used a control Gundam to participate. This person's Gundam was named Tomahawk. His first opponent was also a strength-type opponent named Tank. Tomahawk's body was even larger, and its lethal weapon was the Nebula Chain. When the chain was thrown out, wheels would appear on Tomahawk's body, and it would run on the ground. Once the enemy was locked, they could only be dragged by Tomahawk until they were dragged to death. There were also many other tricks. For example, the weapon was Tomahawk. The ultimate weapon was Tomahawk. However, the Tomahawk could only be used once. Tank's Gundam's attack method was Tank Sprint. This Gundam had thick skin and was very sturdy. Tank had once participated in a gladiator tournament. As soon as he made his move, he smashed a Gundam into pieces. The operator inside vomited blood from the impact. As the battle bell rang, a host with mechanical legs and a bold and beautiful body stood up. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our mechanical gladiator night again. Tonight, let's welcome our first challenger. He is the charming Strong and has great destructive power. Tomahawk. He will duel with yesterday's champion Tank. As we all know, tanks are best at sprinting. They have immense strength and a sturdy structure. They belong to the category of players with super strong defense. Unfortunately, our challenger today is also a Gundam with a strong defense. No one knows who will emerge victorious. Let's wait and see. Let's welcome Tomahawk. In the audience, Wang Zhong and Yi Huihui looked down at the Gundam and Tomahawk slowly walking out from among the contestants. This was the first contestant they had sent out. According to the calculations of Apocalypse, the probability of Tomahawk winning against Tank was more than 80%. This was a very high probability of winning, so Wang Zhong was very assured. For this reason, he bet all his money on Tomahawk winning. You're crazy, Abai. You're really crazy. You bet everything on Tomahawk winning. What if he loses? Then you'll go bankrupt. Yi Huihui shook her head. She really didn't understand why Wang Zhong did this. It was too risky. Although she was confident in Tomahawk's strength, the tank opposite her was not weak either. After all, the tank had a record of 3 consecutive victories. Chapter 720. Facing the worried Yi Huihui, Wang Zhong was very relieved. He said calmly, "Don't worry. Even if you lose, there's still your sister. She has a lot of energy points. That's still her. Even if she gives it to me, why should she give it to you?" Yi Huihui was very dissatisfied with Wang Zhong's words. Wang Zhong smiled and said, "Don't forget that I saved your life. What's wrong now? Are you ungrateful now? I'm still working for you. I didn't even ask for my salary." Yi Huihui was speechless. "All right, let's make a bet later. If I win, you have to obey whatever I say in the future. How about that?" "I'm not going to bet with you." Yi Huihui was not stupid. Every time Wang Zhong showed such a cunning look, it meant that he was planning something. This guy must have the confidence to win. Sure enough, as the battle between the tank and the Tomahawk began, the tank's charge was useless. Because the Tomahawk's legs were equipped with roller skates, every time the tank charged, the Tomahawk could always dodge it. This made the driver of the tank angry and helpless at the same time. The driver of the Tomahawk was also an experienced driver. He was hired by Wang Zhong with a lot of money. Just after the tank charged, the Tomahawk Gundam retreated and swung its right hand. The nebula chain firmly grabbed the Gundam's leg. With a fierce pull, the Gundam's huge body was dragged to the ground. Rumble. The huge Gundam fell to the ground, stirring up dust that covered the entire arena. After the successful attack, the Tomahawk immediately sped up and dragged the huge body of the Gundam out. Bang! Bang! Rumble! The Gundam was thrown to the wall and the ground, making a deafening sound. This was a real steel duel. As the Gundam was caught by the nebula chain, there was no suspense about the outcome of the battle. In the end, the Gundam's leg was torn off, and the driver inside had no choice but to admit defeat. As expected, we won. Yi Huihui heaved a sigh of relief. She was very happy because this was the Gundam that she had personally modified. She had contributed to this victory. Very good. I've earned a lot this time. Wang Zhong chuckled. After that, Tomahawk participated in several battles, winning and losing. Although the smart computer Apocalypse was able to analyze the outcome of every battle with the Tomahawk, this was still based on the data of the machine itself. Sometimes, the driver's luck played a large role. Therefore, there were victories and defeats in the battles. After half a year of competition, Wang Zhong felt that it was about time. He made the decision to enter the arena himself. In order to ensure victory, he used battlesuits to coordinate with the Gundam's battle. In other words, if Dao Feng's Gundam was defeated, he could immediately jump out of the Gundam and continue fighting. He wasn't the only one who came up with this method. Many people had already used this method, and the organizers didn't say that this method was against the rules. Blade was an all-purpose Gundam. Its defense and speed were not bad. This time, Yi Huihui's intention was to increase the moves and power of her blade attacks. Originally, Blade only had the ion blade and the alloy blade as his combat methods were too monotonous. Hence, Yi Huihui modified the nebula chain to Blade's body. She even added a battle axe weapon, the battle axe throwing dagger. This was a disposable dart, but if thrown out suddenly, it could instantly finish off the opponent. This kind of modification required a lot of energy points. Wang Zhong felt that he was lacking more and more energy points. Therefore, when he went to the slave community to visit his mother, Wang Zhong looked for Fatty Yi, hoping to ask for support from energy points. Big Sister Yi, with the power of my Krypton metal battle suit and your sister's modification skills, I will definitely win when the time comes. At that time, not only will I become an alien, but I will also have a huge bonus. I hope you can support me with energy points. When I win, my bar will be handed over to Yi Huihui to manage. I won't treat you badly. Fatty Yi's brain wasn't as smart as Yi Huihui's, but she had a characteristic. She was very stingy. This female Fatty, other than being generous to her sister, was extremely stingy to everyone else. Hence, Wang Zhong decided to give her these benefits. Unfortunately, Fatty Yi didn't care about these things. She shook her head and said, "Abai, it's not that I don't want to help you, it's just that your plan is too dangerous. You have to know that for so many years, those who can win 20 consecutive rounds in the Mechanical Coliseum are few and far between. Most people died there. I also want to help you, but this investment is too big. When you die there, where will we go to collect the money?" Fatty Yi's meaning was very clear. She felt that Wang Zhong's plan had a high probability of failure, so she wasn't willing to invest. Yi Huihui, who was at the side, spoke up for Wang Zhong and said, "Sister, just help Abai." Wang Zhong looked at Yi Huihui in surprise. He didn't expect this woman to speak up for him. In the past, every time Wang Zhong said to her that he hoped Fatty Yi would support him with energy points, Yi Huihui always ridiculed and disagreed. But now he didn't expect her to speak up for him. Sure enough, her mouth said no, but her body was still very honest. "My good sister, you are actually speaking up for an outsider now." Fatty Yi snorted in dissatisfaction. Yi Huihui lowered her head in embarrassment and said weakly, "After all, he saved me." Fatty Yi said to Wang Zhong clearly, "I know you saved my sister, but so what? Speaking of which, these years, your mother also encountered a lot of trouble in the slave community. Didn't I help her solve it all? In this way, it's an eye for an eye, and we are even." Fatty Yi was indeed an extremely hard-hearted woman. When it came to benefits, there was no possibility of compromise with Wang Zhong. "Sister." Yi Huihui was almost pleading. Wang Zhong sighed and prepared to leave here and think of a way. Unexpectedly, Fatty Yi suddenly changed the topic. "But, it's not impossible to give you energy points." "Oh." Wang Zhong's eyes lit up. Fatty Yi said, "Abai, it's not that I don't want to support you. I know your character, and it's not bad. But after all, there is such a large amount of energy points to support you. Let me ask you, if it were you, what would you do? After all, we are not relatives, right? But if we are a family, then I can consider it." "Sister, you want to marry Abai?" Yi Huihui was shocked. Wang Zhong's heart skipped a beat. If that was really the case, he would definitely not agree to it. There was no other way. Fatty Yi was famous for toying with those pretty boys. Why would he marry her? Fortunately, Fatty Yi shook his head and denied it. "Sister, what are you thinking? Didn't I tell you before? Marriage is too boring for me. I still want to sleep with some young people." "Then big sister, you mean?" Fatty Yi said to Wang Zhong seriously. "Little Bai, you and my sister have been together for so many years. Don't you like her at all?" These words were so direct that Wang Zhong and Yi Huihui were stunned. To be honest, Wang Zhong really did not think that way. In his impression, Yi Huihui was a sinister and cunning person. This was not the same as his view of a spouse. Besides, his goal was to become an alien and lead the entire Steel City and the slave community. Therefore, he had never thought about marriage. Yi Huihui was even more speechless. She quickly frowned and said, "Sister, what are you talking about? Sister, you are not young anymore. You and Abai have been together for so long. The two of you have already had an affair, right? What? When did I? Don't try to fool me. I know. Fatty Yi looked as if he had seen through everything. He sighed and said, Little sister, I must give you a status. Abai, you and my sister are now well matched in terms of social status. My sister is also willing to follow you. This shows that she is still interested in you. If you become a family, then you will be my brother-in-law. Whatever you want to do, I will fully support you. What do you say? Wang Zhong was shocked. It turned out that this was Fatty Ye's method. Subconsciously, he glanced at the side at Yi Hui Hui, who had an uneasy look. Sensing that Wang Zhong had looked at her, Yi Hui Hui acted as if she had been electrocuted. She quickly pretended to look at the corner of the wall and studied the dust there. This was the first time he had seen Yi Hui Hui embarrassed. Wang Zhong felt that it was somewhat funny. In fact, after getting familiar with Yi Hui Hui, Wang Zhong also discovered that Yi Hui Hui might be ruthless and merciless to outsiders, but after getting familiar with her, she also had a gentle side. For example, she would not casually use a knife to talk to you. She would use her fists to reason with you. Another example was that she would not casually threaten you in a sarcastic manner. Instead, she would directly threaten you. After all, her personality was not that bad. At least there was room for improvement. How is it? Fatty Yi smiled. He had absolute confidence in his sister's appearance. He continued to strike while the iron was hot. Abai, I actually know what you're worried about. It's nothing more than some of the things my sister did in the past that made you feel a little uncomfortable. But you have to understand that this world is a cannibalistic society. If my sister was like those gentle girls described in the books, I'm afraid she would have been eaten up long ago. She did this to protect herself. Do you understand? Fatty Yi was actually telling the truth. Of course, Wang Zhong understood. Sister, please don't talk so much. Before Yi Hui Hui could finish, Fatty Yi interrupted her again. Sister, I know you're very smart. I used to listen to you on other things, but you have to listen to me on this matter. I don't want you to regret it in the future. Do you understand? Wang Zhong raised his eyebrows. From what he heard, Fatty Yi could tell that Yi Hui Hui liked him. After a moment of silence, Wang Zhong slowly nodded. Actually, Yi Hui Hui is a good girl. But, Fatty Yi frowned. He slammed the table and shouted, Kid, don't be so shameless. But what? Do you dislike my sister? Let me tell you, it's your fortune to be able to marry my sister. Don't King ask for a beating. Sister. Yi Hui Hui quickly pulled Fatty Yi back. Chapter 721. Sister. Seeing that Fatty Yi was so angry that he was about to make a move, Yi Hui Hui hurriedly pulled her sister back. Forget it, forget it. Yi Hui Hui's eyes were red. She was almost holding back her tears and trying not to speak. Forget it, Fatty Yi. Don't have the word forget it in my dictionary. Wang Zhong frowned and said, Calm down first, I haven't finished speaking. Okay, I'll let you finish. What else do you want to say? Wang Zhong said helplessly. What I mean is, Yi Hui Hui is a good girl, but have you thought about it? I want to participate in the gladiator tournament, which is very dangerous and very likely to die. If Yi Hui Hui marries me and I die, won't she be a widow? Moreover, even if I win and become an alien, what about her? According to his previous understanding, after becoming an alien, this person would no longer stay in Steel City, but would go to live in the space carrier. So far, he had not heard of an example of an alien bringing their family members up. Sure enough, after hearing Wang Zhong's words, the Yi sisters were silent. So your concern is this. Sure enough, I didn't misjudge you. You are more thoughtful and a person worth entrusting. Fatty Yi sighed. Wang Zhong. Hui Hui, what do you think? Wang Zhong looked at Yi Hui Hui. Yi Hui Hui lowered her head and said, Now except for you, everyone is afraid of me. I can't get married. This is very clear, I won't marry anyone but you. Wang Zhong was very helpless. He didn't expect the final result to be like this. Fatty Yi nodded and said, Abai, what do you think? What else could Wang Zhong say? He could only hold Yi Hui Hui's small hand in passing. Yi Hui struggled symbolically for a moment, then obediently stopped moving. Okay, we'll attend the wedding banquet tomorrow. So fast. Wang Zhong and Yi Hui spoke in unison, quite surprised. Look at you two, you look quite like husband and wife. You're talking together. Fatty Yi said with a smile. Wang Zhong and Yi Hui looked at each other. Yi Hui lowered her head in embarrassment. Wang Zhong, on the other hand, was quite helpless. He secretly made up his mind to strive to become an alien as soon as possible. At that time, he would be able to control Steel City and the slave community. He might even be able to travel back and forth between these two places. In addition, the most important point is, what kind of existence is an alien? Where is the home of the aliens? Do all the aliens belong to the same country? After thinking about it, Wang Zhong felt that this was unlikely. Aliens are also humans, living humans. Since they are humans, they have desires, power, and money. The boundless universe is so big that it is impossible for all the aliens to belong to the same country. Then there is only one possibility: the alien controlling their planet should belong to a certain country. The next day, Fatty Yi sent someone to invite his mother, Du Meili. Du Meili liked Yi Hui very much. She couldn't stop talking to Yi Hui. Not many people were invited, just a few who were usually loyal to Du Meili. That night, Wang Zhong and Yi Hui were officially together. 10 days later, Wang Zhong and Yi Hui returned to Steel City. Although the two were newlyweds, they quickly threw themselves into the battle of the Mechanical Gladiator tournament. Wang Zhong first signed up for the 1v1 battle, because according to the rules, only by winning 5 matches in the 1v1 battle would one have the opportunity to participate in the group battle. Only by winning 20 matches in a row in the group battle could one become an honorable alien. Wang Zhong's first opponent was the Monitor Lizard. That's right, this was not a robot, but a robot that imitated a lizard. A huge hammer was hanging from the tail of the Monitor Lizard. After swinging it, it had a very strong destructive power. This was Wang Zhong's first opponent. However, Wang Zhong didn't take this opponent seriously because it was too weak. There were many spectators in the arena. Most of them thought that Wang Zhong would win. After all, several of Wang Zhong's robot models have become famous these days. Many commentators gave high praise to Wang Zhong's blade. The battle was about to begin. Just as Qidian's smart computer had analyzed, the moment the battle began, the Monitor Lizard swung its hammer. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. A huge force collided head-on. Wang Zhong retreated, pulled out his alloy knife, and circled around the back of the Monitor Lizard. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The huge hammer nimbly smashed toward him again. Wang Zhong aimed at the tail of the Monitor Lizard and swung his battle axe. The spectators below exclaimed. A commentator exclaimed, "I didn't expect Blade to use his trump card in his first move. Isn't he afraid of running out of tricks?" Yeah. And his battle axe is actually swinging towards the tail of the Monitor Lizard. Does he want the Monitor Lizard to lose its hammer as an attack weapon? Another commentator exclaimed. That must be it. Blade's pilot is indeed shrewd. The Monitor Lizard hurriedly retracted its tail, wanting to avoid the battle axe. However, Wang Zhong moved at that moment. Blade's Gundam moved quickly in front of the Monitor Lizard. It was the first time the two of them were so close. Oh my god, so that's Blade's goal. He swung his battle axe not to attack the opponent's tail, but to get closer. So that's his goal. However, this tactic is undoubtedly the most effective. As everyone knows, the Monitor Lizard's strongest point is its hammer. Every robot that is attacked by the hammer will receive a heavy blow. Therefore, the best tactic is to get closer to the Monitor Lizard. While the two commentators were talking, the Monitor Lizard unexpectedly opened its huge mouth. The Monitor Lizard's mouth was filled with jagged steel teeth. What was surprising was that these steel teeth were like electric chainsaws, and they actually began to rotate. Buzz buzz buzz, buzz buzz buzz. The Monitor Lizard's huge mouth bit towards the blade that Wang Zhong was controlling. At this moment, the alloy blade in Wang Zhong's hand stabbed down. TSK. With just one attack, the interior of the Monitor Lizard was stirred up. Then there was a burst of fire. The Monitor Lizard was completely motionless. Too strong. So that's Blade's strategy. Yes, The monitor lizard's armor is very strong, but the inside of its mouth is its weakest point. The monitor lizard exposed its weakest point. Awesome, this is too awesome. After this battle, everyone knew about Blade's potential. Now, every time Wang Zhong went up, there were many people who bet on Wang Zhong's victory. After winning one battle after another, Wang Zhong finally met a strong opponent in the 5th battle. Robot Giant Cannon. This person was half human and half robot. His original body was a 2-meter-tall muscular man. He had modified his limbs into robots and possessed unparalleled destructive power. Compared to Wang Zhong's blade, everyone now favored Giant Cannon to win. Why did they say so? Because Giant Cannon was a product of the Robot Research Institute. This was one of the top 3 companies in Steel City. It was a large enterprise, and the robots it produced were all extremely powerful. Moreover, Giant Cannon was the same as Wang Zhong. He was a powerhouse who had won 4 battles in a row. His attack method was to shoot out giant swords from the mouth of the giant cannon on his right arm. They possessed extremely strong destructive power. Wang Zhong had calculated before the battle. There were a total of 20 swords in Giant Cannon's arsenal. In other words, his giant swords had the ability to attack 20 times. As long as he was hit once, there was no doubt that it would cause him great damage. By this giant cannon is not easy to deal with. How are you going to deal with him? After receiving information on Giant Cannon, Yi Huihui was very worried. Wang Zhong focused on the information in front of him. He discovered a problem. Giant Cannon's giant swords were indeed very powerful, but their attacks were too simple. As long as he could get close to him and tie his arms with the nebula chain, he would be able to stop him from aiming. Thinking of this method, Wang Zhong was so excited that he could hardly sleep. Over the next few days, Wang Zhong trained in using the nebula chain to attack. The results were pretty good. He beat the Gundams in his team until they could not even raise their heads. Finally, the day of the battle had arrived. The commentators passionately introduced the situation of blades and cannons. According to these commentators, they had always felt that Giant Cannon had great potential. They even said that Giant Cannon's 20 swords had unparalleled power. No one could withstand them. That's right. The 20 swords were indeed very powerful. So many people bet on Giant Cannon to win. However, there were still many people who wanted to bet on Giant Cannon. The more people bet on Bladed, the more people wanted to bet on Bladed. Wang Zhong had Yi Huihui take out all her energy points and bet on him to win. This time, I'm going to make a killing. Wang Zhong stood on the battle platform, looked at Giant Cannon in front of him, and launched an attack. Giant Cannon's body size was actually much smaller than Wang Zhong's bladed. His arms had been modified into the style of a Gatling gun. There were black holes at the front that could shoot out swords. In this place where firearms could not be used, the attack power of a sword with such long-range attack ability was indeed very powerful. In order to become an alien, I changed my body. The current me is invincible. Giant Cannon said coldly. He raised his right arm and aimed at Wang Zhong. My sword's firing speed is about the same as a bullet. No matter how fast you are, you can't stop me. Is that so? Wang Zhong tilted his head. Then give it a try. Before Giant Cannon could speak, the nebula chain was thrown out. Walala! Walala! The chain accurately wrapped around Giant Cannon's arms. Giant Cannon. He wanted to shout a few more words, but he did not expect to be directly restrained. For a moment, he was drenched in cold sweat. The commentators also saw that something was wrong. Not good. All of Giant Cannon's attacks rely on the sword shot out by the two-handed Giant Cannon. Now that his hands are restrained, the sword can't be aimed. Oh my god, so this is what Bladed thought of. Bladed's control of battle tactics has reached an extremely shocking level. It's really scary. Compared to the shoutcaster's shock, the audience was screaming and yelling. Giant Cannon, come on. I'm F*King betting on you to win. You can't lose. Almost all of the people who were shouting were betting on Giant Cannon to win. Unfortunately, no matter how loudly they shouted, they could not change the outcome of the battle. After Giant Cannon's hands were restrained, he could not attack at all. Wang Zhong took advantage of the situation and slashed down with his alloy sword. Giant Cannon's hands were cut off. Chapter 722. Giant Pao lost. As Giant Pao's hands were neatly cut off by the alloy knife, everyone knew that Giant Pao was done for. Moreover, Giant Pao's weakness was exploited by Wang Zhong. It was conceivable that Giant Pao would no longer be valued in the future. A robot whose weakness was known by everyone had lost its value. In this battle, Wang Zhong's blade was completely known by everyone. As for him who had won 5 battles, he was about to face a team battle. A team battle referred to 20 Gundams or robots fighting at the same time. They could cooperate with others or fight alone. However, one thing was for sure. Only one person could win every battle. As long as there were 2 contestants left on the field, it would be useless even if they surrendered. Therefore, the mortality rate in such a place was very high. Especially if someone was your enemy and deliberately targeted you when they saw that you were not going to make it. Then you could only be beaten up. Wang Zhong did not have a deep foundation here. Although he did not have any grudges with others, it was precisely because of this that he had the least allies. Many people did not like an outsider like him very much. Fortunately, Wang Zhong's strength was there for all to see. In the first battle, he faced 19 opponents. Under the commentator's explanation, Wang Zhong's ranking was only 10th among them. This ranking was considered relatively high. It should be known that in the past, other people who had just won a 1v1 battle were usually ranked at the bottom. Wang Zhong was directly ranked 10th. This was already the recognition of his strength by the commentator. When the battle began, none of the contestants on the field took Wang Zhong seriously. These people chose their own opponents to fight. A robot with a chainsaw raised a chainsaw that was larger than itself and slashed at a short robot. Chi. Sparks flew from the short robot's body. This person could not dodge in time, and was directly cut in half. Roar. At this time, a Gundam that had been modified into a Tyrannosaurus Rex bit at the chainsaw robot. In an instant, the chainsaw robot was bitten. However, its defense was amazing. Even if it was bitten, it was fine. Instead, it turned the chainsaw around. The chainsaw was very sharp, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex was pierced through and fell to the ground. This was just a small scene. The bigger scene was a Gundam that was shaped like a giant. As soon as it appeared, it had already crushed 3 robots. The attack power of this Gundam called Colossus was extremely strong. It could shatter a robot with one punch and stomp it into pieces with one foot. Many robots and Gundams avoided it in fear. As a newcomer, Wang Zhong was naturally placed at the edge of the arena. The scene in front of him was too intense. Although he was confident in his blade, the first thing he had to do in a chaotic battle was to conserve his strength. Therefore, what he was doing now was to stay away from these opponents and try his best not to participate in the battle. Since someone had chosen to deal with him, he would try his best to avoid the battle. There were actually quite a few people who had this intention. However, in the later stages, they had no choice but to participate in the war. Because more and more opponents were falling, the original 20 people were reduced to 8 in the blink of an eye. The strongest was the Leviathan. He stared coldly at these people and chose to rest. No one dared to approach. The others all took their own positions and did not act rashly. At that moment, a 3-minute countdown appeared on the screen. This was the first round, which meant that if someone did not kill the robot within 3 minutes, that person would be automatically eliminated. This was a rule to prevent people from wasting time by running away. Wang Zhong had just finished off a robot, so he was not worried. However, 2 opponents on the field started to get nervous. The robot with the chainsaw twisted its body. It seemed to be very confident in its strength and suddenly charged towards Wang Zhong. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the 2 people who had not killed their opponents also moved and charged towards Wang Zhong. Such a dangerous situation did not worry Wang Zhong. He chose to face the chainsaw robot directly. Wang Zhong did not use a weapon. Instead, he used his body to send the chainsaw robot flying. This was the advantage of his Gundam, so Wang Zhong chose to do this. The 2 Gundams behind him charged towards Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong turned his head and stabbed with his alloy knife. Bang! Bang! The alloy knife chose the weak necks of the 2 Gundams. The two Gundams lost their ability to move and fell to the ground, unable to move. After this battle, everyone knew that Wang Zhong was not to be trifled with. While the battle was going on here, other battles also started. The Leviathan made the first move. It threw a heavy punch at the Gundam beside it. Wang Zhong looked at the chainsaw robot and threw the nebula chain at it without hesitation. TSK TSK TSK. The chainsaw robot chose to fight with a chainsaw, but it underestimated Wang Zhong. No one expected that when the chainsaw robot blocked the nebula chain, Wang Zhong would throw his battle axe. Bam! The battle axe was thrown accurately on the chainsaw robot's head. After a few sparks, the chainsaw robot fell to the ground. In the blink of an eye, only 3 of the original 8 opponents were left. Wang Zhong, the Leviathan, and a battered robot. This robot was very strong. Both of its hands were circular saws. Its attack method was to jump onto the Gundam and cut it directly. Its weakness was that it was too weak. Although it was agile, it vomited blood after being kicked by a Gundam. It had lost its ability to fight. I surrender. This robot did not dare to face an opponent like the Leviathan. It wisely retreated. To it, where there was life, there was hope. This was a smart choice. The Leviathan looked at Wang Zhong. It did not say anything and charged straight at him. This Leviathan was indeed very strong. After all, according to the introduction, this guy was a strong person who had won 10 team battles in a row. Wang Zhong did not dare to be careless. After retracting the nebula chain, he took out the ion knife. The ion knife consumed a lot of energy, but now that the battle was coming to an end, it was time to use it. Go to hell. The Leviathan roared and stomped its foot. Wang Zhong nimbly dodged and slashed the ion knife at the Leviathan's leg. Bang! Bang! The Leviathan's leg was injured and was a little limp. Damned rat! The Leviathan lowered its head and swung its fist. Wang Zhong could not dodge in time and took the hit. With this one hit, Blade's Gundam was severely damaged. Everyone on the field exclaimed. Looks like the Leviathan is going to win. Yet the Leviathan is really strong. It won without any suspense. What a pity. Blade is actually very strong, but he lost. Just when everyone thought that Wang Zhong was going to lose, Blade suddenly ran to the chainsaw robot. After the robot fell, the chainsaw was still running. Wang Zhong grabbed the chainsaw in his hand, waved it around, and jumped into the air. The Leviathan was very strong. Wang Zhong would not fight it head-on. This time, he jumped onto its shoulder, which made the Leviathan go crazy. What made it even crazier was that the chainsaw cut at the Leviathan's arm. Buzz buzz buzz. The pilot in the Leviathan cursed, but there was nothing he could do. Blade's strong legs were tightly wrapped around the Leviathan's shoulder. There was no way he could shake it off. Soon, the Leviathan's arms were cut off, followed by its head. Bang! The Leviathan's head fell to the ground. Its eyes flashed, and it stopped moving. The Leviathan lost. This battle made the audience stand up. The commentators were so excited that they were dancing. It's been a long time since I've seen such an exciting battle. Thank you, Blade, for bringing this battle to us. It was really exciting. The host said excitedly. Wang Zhong controlled Blade to get off the stage. He was secretly amazed. As expected of the robot meat grinder team battle, this was the first time his Blade was injured, and he was injured so badly. It was conceivable that if he had not thought of taking away the chainsaw at the end, it would have been impossible for him to win with Blade. Blade's attack methods were really too difficult for him to deal with the Leviathan. If he did not have the chainsaw, he would have to use the Krypton armor in the end. However, he did not intend to make this armor public at the moment. It was very simple. The Krypton armor was of great importance. It must be known that this metal material was something that even the aliens would covet. He had no money, no power, and was only an ordinary person in Steel City. If the aliens wanted to snatch the armor, what would he do? Even if they did not snatch it, there were still 19 battles to come. If he exposed his trump card in advance, it would be very disadvantageous for him. Therefore, Wang Zhong decided that even if he had to use the Krypton armor, he would have to persist until the later stages. Tisk! Blade's chest armor opened, and Wang Zhong jumped out of Blade's body. Several people had already arrived in front of him. One of them was the Leviathan's pilot, Stantine, sweeping their gazes over Wang Zhong. All of them were extremely unconvinced, especially the chainsaw robot. With a cold snort, it said, "Fuck, you actually dared to use my chainsaw as a weapon. Now my chainsaw is useless. Who can you blame for your own incompetence?" Stantine cursed the robot for being trash. He then looked at Wang Zhong. "He's right. If it weren't for his chainsaw, you would have already lost. With your robot, you can't compete with my Leviathan." Wang Zhong shrugged and said, "There's no point in saying so much. A loss is a loss, isn't it?" "You have guts." Stantine snorted. After waiting for the others to leave, Stantine unexpectedly walked over. "What's the matter?" Wang Zhong asked vigilantly. Stantine smiled and said, "My boss is very interested in you. He said he wants to meet you." "What's the matter?" "It must be something good. For example, he can help you repair your blade for free. He also said that you are quite suitable for using a chainsaw. If you like, he happens to have a chainsaw that suits you very well." Wang Zhong could tell that Stantine was trying to bribe him. This was not surprising. Every gladiator was very precious. Some large financial groups and companies would look for excellent gladiators and invite them to fight for them. Wang Zhong's excellence had attracted the attention of these people. This Stantine was here to persuade him. Chapter 723. My boss said that you can go and have a look. If you don't like it, he can even tailor it for you. There will always be one that suits you. Wang Zhong looked at Stantine and said, "I don't understand. Why is he so good to me?" Stantine said with emotion, "Because you won, and my boss thinks you have potential." With that, Stantine shrugged and said, "But to be honest, I think you were just lucky. Every gladiator with potential will receive attention, because every victory can bring huge benefits. Some people even win 20 games in a row and become the noble aliens." When talking about aliens, Stantine's face was obviously full of yearning and excitement. Finally, he concluded, "I, Stantine, will become an alien man sooner or later." "Then I wish your wish come true," Wang Zhong said indifferently. "Hey, you don't seem to believe in my boss ability." "It's not that I don't believe in him, but I have my own team at the moment and don't want to join others." For Wang Zhong, joining other people's team means that he will lose his freedom. "You're overestimating yourself. Do you think your luck will always be there? If you don't join my boss now, you might not be able to survive the next round. I appreciate your kindness, but I really don't need it." "Humph." Stantine snorted and didn't have the mood to continue talking. He turned and left. After returning to his residence, Wang Zhong asked Yi Huihui to modify the blade. Because of the single attack method, Wang Zhong also made a request to install a chainsaw on the blade. The modification took a long time. Fortunately, Yi Huihui had recruited a lot of teams and the modification went smoothly. During this period, many people came to Wang Zhong to propose cooperation. Wang Zhong didn't refuse all of them. Sometimes it was not good to fight alone. It was also beneficial to cooperate with others. The majority of these people were sponsors, and they were full of praise for the strength Wang Zhong had displayed. Of course, there were also many people who asked Wang Zhong to join them, but they were all rejected by Wang Zhong. Next, there were continuous matches that took more than a year. Wang Zhong's blade won 15 consecutive matches, becoming one of the few warriors to have won so many matches in a row. Many people knew that Wang Zhong's goal was to become an alien in the final 20 games. The battle was naturally very intense, especially towards the end, the more desperate it became. This was because towards the end, every opponent had fought their way through the battlefield. There was no need to mention how strong they were. The key was that they all had rich combat experience. In the 16th battle, Wang Zhong met his true opponent, a skeletal robot. This person had modified himself into the shape of a skeleton, and his speed had reached its peak. As soon as it appeared, the skeletal robot's speed was astonishing. It swept through the entire field and injured several powerful Gundams in an instant, causing them to lose their ability to fight. Wang Zhong also felt that this guy was very difficult to deal with. All he could do was wave his chains around to defend himself. However, as more and more opponents fell, the skeletal robot soon targeted him and stabbed the ion blade in its hand toward his chest. Sure enough, Wang Zhong couldn't dodge in time and was still stabbed. Many people knew that Wang Zhong stayed in Blade's chest and controlled it. Therefore, if the ion blade stabbed into Blade's chest, Wang Zhong would definitely be injured. In fact, this was indeed the case. Wang Zhong was stabbed. However, he was actually wearing a Krypton metal battle suit. The hard ion blade couldn't pierce through at all. What's going on? The skeletal robot was obviously stunned. It didn't expect this. Wang Zhong grabbed the skeletal robot's arm and smiled sinisterly. You're finished. The next moment, Wang Zhong threw a punch with his other hand. The skeletal robot's head was sent flying, and it lost its ability to fight. In this battle, Wang Zhong won very cleverly. Whether it was the audience or the commentators, they were all very surprised. They were all trying to figure out what was going on. Defense. The chest of Blade's Gundam must be equipped with extremely hard defensive armor, a commentator said in shock. But that doesn't make sense. The ion blade's power is unparalleled. No matter how hard it is, it should be able to break through the defense. It's a matter of strength. Although the skeletal robot's speed is unparalleled, its strength is too weak, someone guessed. I think that Blade's cockpit must be specially made. That's why it's defense. No, you've all guessed wrong. I now suspect that there should be another robot inside Blade. The chief commentator adjusted his glasses and revealed a wise look. Do you know why I said that? It's because it's obvious that it's impossible to have defensive armor installed inside. This doesn't match the performance of the Gundam. Therefore, the driver must be wearing another robot. As for why Wang Zhong was able to block the ion blade, the more rumors spread, the more ridiculous they became. In the end, many people guessed that Wang Zhong was indeed wearing another robot. This was the only way to explain why there were 2 layers of armor that blocked the ion blade's attack. After that, naturally, many people asked Wang Zhong about it. However, Wang Zhong used the reason that it was confidential and did not tell them anything. The 17th and 18th battles came. Now Wang Zhong was the strongest existence on the battlefield. No one dared to underestimate him. These 2 battles were very difficult for Wang Zhong. Blade's Gundam was already covered in wounds from the many battles. Finally, in the 19th battle, perhaps because his opponents realized that Wang Zhong was not to be trifled with, they actually began to work together to deal with him. As soon as he appeared, dozens of Gundams rushed toward Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong held the chainsaw in his hand. Like a tiger in a flock of sheep, he instantly killed 2 Gundams. However, several robots took the opportunity to sneak attack him from behind. In the nick of time, Wang Zhong jumped up and out of the encirclement. Although Wang Zhong tried his best to turn the tide, he was still too weak. Blade's Gundam was getting more and more injured in the continuous battles. In the end, it could not bear the burden, and its head was crushed by a wolf-type Gundam. Victory! The remaining 4 Gundams laughed. Chi. However, at this time, the armor in front of Blade's chest suddenly opened and white smoke came out. What's going on? Is Blade's pilot, Mr. Abai, coming out? Good Lord, it's time to witness a miracle. Looking at this situation, it's just as the others guessed. Blade has a second robot inside. It must be. Otherwise, Abai wouldn't come out like this. Everyone stared at this scene with wide eyes. Then a person in black armor slowly walked out. This armor was 1 size larger than Wang Zhong's. It was equipped with ion blade equipment, flame boosters, and small round holes. No one knew what these were for. The 19th battle, Blade only revealed his trump card after 19 battles. That's right. I wonder if Dao Feng's trump card can help him turn the tide. As a die-hard fan of Blade, I think Blade will definitely win. Blade, who can fight against Blade? Some of Blade's fans screamed. One had to know that this was the 19th battle. As long as he won this battle, Wang Zhong would face the next battle to defend his title. Once he won the battle to defend his title, Wang Zhong would officially become an alien. Endless glory and money would come one after another. Naturally, there were also many people who felt that Wang Zhong wouldn't be able to win. In their opinion, Blade was already powerful enough. If this one was even more powerful, It would be unreasonable. However, reality slapped them hard in the face. Wang Zhong only came out for a short while before he charged forward with his ion blade. Chi 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 chi. After circling around the remaining 4 enemies, the 4 of them slowly fell to the ground. It was that simple. He won. Dao 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 dao. Dao Feng won. The referee was so shocked that he was stuttering. Too fast. This is Blade's true trump card. Who can resist such speed? 10 seconds. I think it was over in 10 seconds. Sometimes real men compete in speed. Everyone in Steel City knew about this battle. Many people watched the replay of Wang Zhong's new equipment, wanting to know what kind of equipment it was. Unfortunately, no one knew. Krypton metal had been missing from this world for far too long. Many people had never even heard of it, let alone talked about it. Even if some people knew about this metal, who would know that it was Krypton metal just by watching Wang Zhong's battle on TV? After returning, Wang Zhong looked at the blade that had been transported back and smiled bitterly. He had used all his trump cards in this battle. Fortunately, there was only one battle left. After this battle, Wang Zhong realized that he had become the idol of many people. Blade, blade, who can fight? This slogan had become the mantra of many people. Now, if anyone dared to slander Wang Zhong, there would probably be people coming out to fight them to the death. Fortunately, the tournament's officials did not reveal Wang Zhong's personal information, so no one came to harass him. Since the blade was almost completely destroyed, Yi Huihui could only start over and build a new blade. Originally, Yi Huihui wanted to add a new skill to the blade, but Wang Zhong rejected this idea. There's only one battle left. Adding a new skill will only make me unfamiliar, so forget it. Wang Zhong shook his head. So, you want to rely on the Krypton metal combat suit? That's right. It's already exposed anyway. Alright then. Yi Huihui nodded obediently. She had no objections to Wang Zhong's words. Rebuilding the blade would take a lot of time, but to Wang Zhong's surprise, the tournament's officials contacted him and offered to build it for him for free. What? Build it for me for free? Wang Zhong received the call and felt that it was inconceivable. Later, the higher-ups came to meet with Wang Zhong. After their explanation, Wang Zhong realized that the tournament's intention was to befriend him. After all, this was his last battle. If he won, he would be an alien. Chapter 724. Mr. Abai, this is your last battle. You must do your best. If you win, you will become an alien. The commentator of the Robot Gladiator tournament found Wang Zhong and shook Wang Zhong's hand excitedly. Thank you, Mr. Chen Naifu. Wang Zhong replied politely. He felt a little strange. Why was Chen Naifu looking for him? Thinking of this, Wang Zhong asked directly, Mr. Chen, for you to look for me at this juncture, it shouldn't just be about this, right? Chen Naifu nodded with a heavy expression. Mr. Abai, this is your last battle. There are some things I want to remind you of. Oh, what is it? Wang Zhong felt that as the commentator of the Robot Gladiator tournament, Chen Naifu might know something very important. It's about the next battle. I need to remind you that if you win, regardless of whether you are willing or not, you will already be an alien. Mandatory. Wang Zhong raised his eyebrows. Yes, this is the rule of the starship. Chen Naifu pointed to the top of his head. Sometimes, when the weather was clear at night, when he looked up, he could see a huge red light spot above his head. That light spot was where the starship was. If you win 20 battles, it means that you have to become an alien, regardless of whether you are willing or not. Wang Zhong could be considered to have witnessed the tyranny of an alien. Yes, regardless of whether you are willing or not. Chen Naifu smiled. Of course, no one can resist the temptation of becoming an alien. It is said that the medical technology of the aliens is extremely advanced. The mechanical level is also several levels higher than ours. The average life expectancy there is 200 years. 200 years. Compared to our world, the average life expectancy is only a pitiful 70 or 80 years. That's pretty good. Wang Zhong nodded in agreement. Since the aliens could travel long distances and come to this world to expand their territory, it was normal for their technological level to be higher. Right, there is one more thing. Chen Naifu smiled embarrassedly. Say it, Mr. Chen. Wang Zhong felt that Chen Naifu should have something important to tell him. Sure enough, Chen Naifu took out several pieces of paper. I have 2 sons and 2 daughters. They are your idols. If possible, please sign for them. Eh? You came all the way here just for this? Chen Naifu said embarrassedly. I can't help it. You have too many fans now. My 2 sons and 2 daughters have been pestering me for a long time, insisting that I ask for your autograph. Wang Zhong nodded. All right, he's just a kid. I understand. Thank you, Mr. Abai. Chen Naifu was overjoyed. After signing his name, Chen Naifu took his leave. Wang Zhong and Yi Huihui began the arduous journey of building Blade 2. Thanks to the support of other consortiums, the construction of Blade 2 was completed 2 months ahead of schedule. The defensive armor of this Blade 2 was even tougher. The nebula chain was 3 meters longer, and 3 battle axes were installed on its back. In other words, after throwing the battle axe once in the past, it was gone. But now he had 3 axes on his back, which meant that he had 3 more chances to throw them. This was very important to the ever-changing situation on the battlefield. Wang Zhong was very satisfied with this. But at the same time, he also received news that the other 19 robots in the arena were targeting him. This was also very easy to understand. Everyone was a competitor, and whoever was able to defeat Wang Zhong would be able to rise to fame. At that time, not only would he gain a large number of energy points, but he would also gain the support of many large consortiums. At that time, he would definitely be able to bring his robots to the next level. Finally, it was Wang Zhong's turn to compete. Before the competition, the list of contestants was kept secret. When it was time to go on stage, Wang Zhong discovered that there were a total of 5 strong opponents. Of the 3 robots, one held an extended electric drill, while the other 2 held an electric saw. These 3 were powerhouses with more than 10 victories. The other 2 had more than 15 victories. One was the Gundam, and the other was the Bigfoot Gundam. They really are strong opponents. Wang Zhong sighed in his heart. Even so, all of his supporters were shouting excitedly. The entire arena was filled with glowing words of Blade Edge. These were all made by Wang Zhong's fans. Now, even the opponents on the other side regarded Wang Zhong as their biggest enemy. Everyone was eyeing Wang Zhong covetously. The competition started. Just as Wang Zhong had guessed, everyone attacked Wang Zhong. Whoosh! A battle axe was thrown out first. It hit the weakest robot in the face and directly chopped it down. Then he controlled the nebula chain and chained the 2 Gundams together. Facing so many enemies, Wang Zhong shuttled through them with difficulty. After 3 minutes, although he had defeated 6 robots, he was also seriously injured. At this time, these people also started to kill each other. This was because the time was almost up. According to the rules, every robot had to defeat at least 1 enemy in the next minute. Otherwise, they would not be able to advance. So they attacked. As Wang Zhong had defeated many of them, he did not need to defeat any more enemies. He chose to retreat and rest. The strongest on the field was probably the Bigfoot monster. Its feet were huge and very heavy. Its super long height allowed it to easily step on anyone and crush them. Then, there was the guy with the electric drill. This person's electric drill was equipped with an extended drill bit. Once hit, the drill bit would spin and break through any defense. Wang Zhong was secretly shocked when he saw this. These fellows truly had their own strengths. After a minute, there were only 6 robots left on the field. These people attacked Wang Zhong at the same time. This time, Wang Zhong could not hold on. Before he could throw out the 2 battle axes, Blade's entire body was flickering with electricity. In the end, he could not hold on and could not move. Blade can't move. Sure enough, Blade can't hold on against the combined attacks of so many experts. Fortunately, Blade has a backup plan. The second form of armor is about to appear. Can he turn the tide this time? Let's wait and see. The commentator, like the audience, stood up excitedly to explain. The audience let out deafening cheers. Blade, Blade, who can compete with you? Blade, Blade, I love you like a mouse loves rice. Blade is invincible, kill them all. Chi, chi, chi. In the loud cheers, the armor at the front of Blade finally opened, and a burst of white smoke came out. Wang Zhong slowly walked out from inside. He twisted his neck and looked at the group of people who were eyeing him covetously. His body finally moved. Whoosh! His movements were swift and fierce as he attacked the Bigfoot monster. The pilot of the Bigfoot monster roared, "See if I don't stomp you into meat paste." Chi! The ion knife slashed across the feet of the Bigfoot monster. Logically speaking, the defense of its two big feet was amazing. Ordinary machines using ion knives could not cause any damage to the Bigfoot monster. However, Wang Zhong's Krypton metal battle armor increased the strength of the ion knife. With the support of the Krypton metal battle armor, the ion knife's explosive power was extremely strong. It easily cut open the legs of the Bigfoot monster. Oh my god, the Bigfoot monster is down. The Bigfoot monster's attack relies on its feet. Now that its feet have been cut off, the Bigfoot monster has lost its combat power. Amazing, too amazing, Blade is really invincible. As the Bigfoot monster fell, the remaining opponents panicked. They knew that with their strength, they were probably not the Bigfoot monster's opponent. Sure enough, in just 5 minutes, the opponents on the stage fell one after another. Wang Zhong stood in the middle with his hands raised high. He won. How many years has it been? Finally, someone has become an alien. I hope he can come back after going to the universe. Yes, we also want to go to the universe. Everyone sighed with emotion. After this battle, the higher-ups awarded Wang Zhong the first place award and energy points. At the same time, the higher-ups informed Wang Zhong that in 7 days, he would take the airship sent by the starship and go to the starship to accept the ceremony of becoming an alien. At this moment, Wang Zhong was not very excited, but he felt a little strange. Alien starship, what kind of existence is that? Before leaving, Yi Huihui did not cry or laugh. She just calmly prepared a lot of clothes for Wang Zhong. Abai, you are going to leave soon. You must take good care of your body. Take these clothes with you. I don't know how the prices are over there. With these clothes, you won't have to spend energy points to buy them at least for a while. Huihui, don't worry. I have a lot of energy points now. After saying that, Wang Zhong thought of something and quickly took Yi Huihui's hand and transferred the prize money in the electronic bracelet to Yi Huihui. What are you doing? Yi Huihui was stunned. I'm leaving. You can keep these energy points. I can't take them. I have a bar here to make money. My sister will also ask the robots to send energy points. I don't need them. Now, Yi Huihui and Fatty Ye's contact method had become much more convenient. They could use robots to mix in the garbage and then transfer energy points. Huihui, why are you so disobedient? Just keep it when I tell you to. Wang Zhong shook his head and sighed. Listen to me, be good. But, no buts. Don't forget, you are not only taking care of yourself now. Wang Zhong touched Yi Huihui's stomach. It was already slightly bulging and was as big as a watermelon. Then I will only take half. Yi Huihui stubbornly transferred half to Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong was helpless. He thought that it was fortunate that Fatty Yi was in the slave community, so he could forget about it. Okay, take care of yourself in the future. Sigh. I don't know if you can come back. Yi Huihui did not say this because she did not want Wang Zhong to worry. However, Wang Zhong hugged her and said, Don't worry, I will come back when I have a foothold there. Through the window in the house, the red light of the space carrier was particularly eye-catching in the dark night. This was the brightest place in the entire starry sky. We are going to the space carrier tomorrow. What kind of place is it? Wang Zhong fell into a deep sleep. Chapter 725. Deep in the universe above Steel City, in the dark universe, there was a huge spaceship that looked like an aircraft carrier. It was quietly docked next to an meteorite. The spaceship was huge and dark, but there were red lights on the outside of the hull. Various airships were anchored on the deck. If you looked carefully, you would find that there were translucent glass covers on the deck. Therefore, some people in thick military uniforms were shuttling back and forth among the airships on the deck. These people were the staff responsible for the inspection and maintenance of the airships. At the bow of the ship, In the highest level of the command room, the captain and a group of people in military uniforms were watching a three-dimensional image. If Wang Zhong were here, he would be very surprised, because what they were watching was actually his last battle. After entering the Krypton metal form, he fought one against many, shocking everyone present. Not bad, not bad. Sure enough, I bet on this guy to win, and I won a lot. The captain, who had a pipe thicker than his arm in his mouth, smiled. Sure enough, he didn't let me down, adjutant. Yes, sir. This little guy is coming tomorrow, right? Calculating the time, it's about time. Well, send him to the capital circle when the time comes. I have a hunch that this kid will make me a lot of energy points. Sir Captain, do you want me to arrest his family so that he won't be disobedient when the time comes? Everyone present knew that no gladiator was well behaved. In particular, they remembered that there was a gladiator from another satellite point. When they were in the capital circle, he suddenly killed 2 guards, and then escaped. Although the capital circle's military police force pursued him, they unfortunately failed to catch him. Because of this, the matter of the satellite guard force using the indigenous people to participate in the underground gladiatorial tournament broke out. A group of human rights defenders and reporters severely criticized the captain there. The final result was that the captain and a group of leaders were all dismissed. After so long, the indigenous person who escaped still hadn't been found. He was either dead or had changed his appearance and bought a new identity. The Myriad Tai Federation was very big and very powerful. It had dozens of administrative planets, and each of them was protected by a satellite. But at the same time, because it was too big, the underground identity management was often used by criminals to create fake identities. Hearing the adjutant's words, the captain habitually combed his hair. Don't worry, it's just a group of natives. If we capture the people around this kid, what if he doesn't have the mood to compete? As long as I tell that brat in advance, if he dares to betray me, I'll just kill the people around him. Yes, Captain. The adjutant lowered his head in agreement. After that, the group of people continued to watch the gladiator arena matches that were being broadcasted by the capital circle. If Wang Zhong were here, he probably wouldn't have thought that the reason why this group of people promised the winner such good conditions, as an alien identity, was to let them continue to participate in the competition. And the planet they were on, called Green Water Planet, was perhaps their home. Even if it was dirty and messy, it was still their home. It was the place where they were born and raised. However, in the eyes of the aliens of the Myriad Tai Federation, this place was a barbaric and backward place. It was so backward that no one was willing to live here. Therefore, after the Myriad Tai Federation conquered this planet, they transformed it into a satellite. A satellite at the border of the Myriad Tai Federation's universe. Once an enemy force invaded, the garrison here could immediately notify the Myriad Tai Federation. In addition to its role as a satellite, its other role was to produce various ores. This was also the reason why the slave community had always existed. Early morning. In the steel city of Green Water Planet, there were no birds chirping in the morning, no insects chirping, and no fresh air. Here, there was only the sound of the factory's motors and thick smoke. At this time, countless workers had already gone to work. There was an endless stream of traffic outside. Humans and robots walked together, forming a harmonious and incredible scene. Wang Zhong and Yi Huihui also woke up. Looking at the packed luggage in the room, Wang Zhong sighed. Huihui, take care of the fetus. Although I'm leaving, the Terminator will accompany you. Wang Zhong nodded. These days he had bought a lot of robots. These robots would protect Yi Huihui, especially Dao Feng's Gundam. After repairing it, Wang Zhong also asked Apocalypse. If Yi Huihui had any problems, Apocalypse, as an intelligent system, would play the role of controlling Dao Feng. When the time came, the problem would be solved. Of course, these were just backup plans. Wang Zhong still hoped that he wouldn't have to use them. Wang Zhong left. Yi Huihui didn't cry, nor did she make a fuss. Instead, she smiled as she watched Wang Zhong leave. Steel City, I'll be back. After sitting in the airship, Wang Zhong looked down at Steel City, which was getting smaller and smaller. Wang Zhong murmured, The airship this time was clearly of a higher grade. Not only was it very comfortable, but it could also be seen from the exterior that the airship was incomparably sturdy. The muzzles of the various weapons on the airship opened fiercely, showing the strength of the airship. As for the speed, it was needless to say. It was more than 3 times faster than the airship he had snuck in. After sleeping on the airship, Wang Zhong found himself in space when he woke up. In the dark night sky, there was a huge spaceship floating in front of him. This was the legendary starship carrier. Countless airships and battleships were docked on the deck of the starship carrier. There were also some guardian ships floating around the starship carrier. Seeing this, 2 words appeared in Wang Zhong's mind: soldiers. The so-called starship carrier was actually a large military base. If this news were to be known by the people of Steel City, they would be so shocked that their jaws would drop. The huge cover on the deck of the starship carrier opened, and a stream of air spurted out. Then the airship slowly landed. After getting off the airship, several soldiers wearing military uniforms with a sun emblem had been waiting for a long time. Mr. Abai, the Myriad Thai Federation's Greenwater Planet garrison welcomes your arrival. A man with 2 golden suns embroidered on his shoulder stepped forward. He covered his chest with his right hand and explained, "This is our Myriad Thai Federation's etiquette." "Thank you, sir." The other party's politeness made Wang Zhong feel relieved. As he had guessed, the other party's technological civilization was so advanced that these people could not be barbarians. Sure enough, although he was a native of Greenwater Planet, the other party was at least polite to him on the surface. So Wang Zhong also covered his chest with his right hand. "Thank you, sir. Well, come with me. His Excellency the Captain has been waiting for you for a long time. He has also specially prepared a banquet for you." "Is that so?" Wang Zhong was a little flattered. After all, he was just an ordinary gladiator, and these people were so polite. He followed the team into the cabin. There were no guards in such a large place. Instead, there were cold machine gun muzzles in the corners. These were the starship carrier's automatic defense weapons. If he made any strange movements, these weapons would warn him, and then shoot him. After passing through the corridor, they came to the center of the starship carrier. Pushing the door open, Wang Zhong saw a luxurious dining table, with all kinds of precious food that he had never seen in this world. Sure enough, a banquet was being held here. And the host of this banquet was Wang Zhong. The Wan Thai Federation was a country with a long history. As a superior, the captain naturally knew that forceful coercion would only be counterproductive. Only by treating Wang Zhong with such excellent conditions would he be able to make Wang Zhong willingly submit to him and work for him. Due to the advanced mechanical civilization in this world, many mechanical coliseums had been born. Some of these coliseums were underground, not regulated, and some were officially organized. Before the start of each coliseum, there would be a huge influx of gambling money. The winner would be able to make a fortune. The loser would suffer a crushing defeat. This was a big gamble, but it was also a feast for gamblers. And for gamblers, the most important thing was the gladiators. Every excellent gladiator needed to be trained with a lot of money, and even then, success was not guaranteed. As for Wang Zhong, he naturally did not rely on luck to stand out in so many gladiator battles. Instead, he relied on his strength. Such a talent did not need to be trained by the captain. So he naturally had to treat him well, and make Wang Zhong willing to be used by him. There was only one person sitting at the huge dining table. This person wore a military uniform with 5 suns embroidered on the shoulder. When he saw Wang Zhong coming over, he smiled in a friendly manner, got up, and handed a glass of white wine to Wang Zhong. "Welcome, my hero. Let me introduce myself. My name is Bai Xiangling, and I'm currently the captain of the Wan Thai Federation's Greenwater Planet garrison." After saying that, the man put his right hand over his heart as a greeting. "Hello." Wang Zhong also put his right hand over his heart, and imitated the words of the soldier who led him here. "Captain, you are too polite. I'm flattered." "Ha ha ha, you're welcome. You deserve this honor." "Thank you, Captain. Have a seat." Bai Xiangling pointed to a seat not far away. Wang Zhong sat down and clinked glasses with Bai Xiangling. Bai Xiangling did not say anything about the competition, but asked, "How did you feel when you saw our spaceship when you came over? It's very big and powerful. I never dreamed that there would be such a magnificent spaceship. Your country's national strength is really strong." Wang Zhong was not stingy with his flattery. "Yes, actually, this is just one of the most ordinary garrison troops in our country. Our interstellar corps is the one that is truly magnificent." Bai Xiangling could not help but think of his first time as a soldier, when he saw the mighty interstellar corps in space. That battleship was boundless. "Well, let's not talk about this. I'll introduce you to the local customs of our country. After all, you will be a citizen of our Wantai Federation in the future." Then Bai Xiangling introduced the Wantai Federation. Chapter 726. The Wantai Federation had a huge territory. There were dozens of administrative planets and satellites. The reason why it could maintain such a huge territory was not only because of its super technology, but also because of its strong military force. The Wantai Federation had tens of thousands of space carriers. Each space carrier had hundreds of airships of various models. Around the starship, there were battleships guarding it. Warships were smaller than space carriers, but much larger than airships. They were usually used to protect bases, protect space carriers, or take the lead in attacking. It was because of such a large military force that the Wantai Federation could maintain such a huge territory. The administrative system of the Wantai Federation was similar to the president and the parliament, followed by the prime minister, the deputy prime minister. The country claimed to be fair and impartial, and human rights were paramount. But such things were just words. Just like the moldy country, the more they liked to say it, the more they could not do it. There were many wild planets in the Wantai Federation. For example, the Green Water Planet, where Wang Zhong was staying, was not developed by the Wantai Federation. Because there were too many planets, and the population was desperately trying to grow, it could only reach hundreds of billions. The capital circle had not been developed, so who would want to develop the frontier? The frontier was so far away that even if the whole planet was made of gold, spaceships would not make much money transporting it back and forth. The Wantai Federation was interested in such a planet, unless it was a well-developed and modernized planet. For undeveloped planets, the Wantai Federation basically left them alone, unless the geographical location was like the Green Water Planet, which happened to be in the frontier, and could be used as a satellite. According to Bai Xiangling, in addition to the Wantai Federation, there were countless large and small countries in the universe. When Wang Zhong asked him whether the Wantai Federation was a powerful or ordinary country in the universe, Bai Xiangling did not say much, only saying that he would know later. "Captain, since the universe is so big, how did you come here from such a long distance?" Wang Zhong understood almost everything in the universe, but he still did not understand how to travel long distances. Bai Xiangling smiled and said, "This is related to a technology called space jump." Space jump? That's right. No matter if it's an aircraft carrier, an airship, or a battleship, as long as it can travel in the universe, it must have a space jump device. It's similar to a wormhole. This device can distort space and shorten the travel distance. Wang Zhong was confused by Bai Xiangling's words. He roughly knew that this device was similar to Earth shrinking, and this device could only be used in the universe. Because the universe was in a vacuum state, there was no oxygen, and there was no living matter here, so it was possible to perform space jumps. With the space jump, it was possible to connect planets that were hundreds of millions of light years away. In addition, Wang Zhong also learned about the history of Green Water Planet. Green Mercury's technology had not been developed before. Later, when the Wantai Federation came over, the entire Green Mercury surrendered and became an outpost of the Wantai Federation. It was a pity that Bai Xiangling did not explain how the Tang family on the Green Water Planet had been destroyed. Wang Zhong was naturally not foolish enough to ask. When he was almost done eating, Bai Xiangling finally put down the cutlery and wiped his mouth. The adjutant behind him heard the order and took the initiative to hand over a box. Abai, this is your reward for winning. A bank card with 30 million energy points, and an identity card of the Wantai Federation. From this moment on, you are one of the powerful and rich people of the Wantai Federation. In the box, there was a card and a ring. This ring had the function of an electronic bracelet. After wearing it, the ring would project his information. Name, Abai. Gender, male. Age, 22. Place of birth, Wantai Federation Republic, Green Water Planet. Satellite. Date of birth. Bai Xiangling smiled and said, "How is it?" "Thank you, but can I go back to Green Water Planet in the future?" Wang Zhong asked. Bai Xiangling said, "You want to see your wife and mother, right? You are really affectionate and righteous. You can rest assured that you can go back." "That's good. Well, now let's talk about your work." "My work?" "Yes, after receiving these things, you will be one of my people. Don't worry, I will not treat you unfairly." Bai Xiangling spoke very implicitly, but Wang Zhong could tell that he was still useful to Bai Xiangling. "What do you want me to do?" "Wrestling." Bai Xiangling then explained the situation of the competition. Wang Zhong understood that he would have to wrestle for Bai Xiangling and participate in various competitions to make money for him. Wang Zhong's heart suddenly sank. This was not what he had envisioned. Strictly speaking, he did not like this kind of wrestling life. After all, he was not a battle maniac. His next task was to gain power and control Steel City. But after listening to Bai Xiangling's words, Wang Zhong felt a lot of pressure. Steel City belonged to Green Water Planet, and Green Water Planet belonged to the Wantai Federation. If he wanted to control Steel City, he would have to control Green Water Planet. In other words, he would have to oppose the entire Wantai Federation. The pressure was really great. However, it was clear that he could not refuse. He had to agree first and think of a way later. Thinking of this, Wang Zhong smiled and said, "I'm willing to help." "Haha, young man, your brain is good. I'm optimistic about you." Bai Xiangling raised his glass and clinked it with Wang Zhong's. After resting here for a few days, Bai Xiangling really did not treat Wang Zhong unfairly. In Bai Xiangling's words, only by keeping an athlete physically, mentally, and mentally healthy would he be able to display his best state in battle. Therefore, on the aircraft carrier, Wang Zhong received a new electronic wristband. It was a combination of communication, computer, and computer. It could project a screen and broadcast many programs of the Wantai Federation. Naturally, he could also surf the internet. Bai Xiangling did not set any restrictions on Wang Zhong, because he had secretly reminded Wang Zhong that as long as he was smart, he would have wealth and status. Even if he wanted a girl, he could find one from the Wantai Federation's capital. But if he was not obedient, then sorry. But his family on Green Water Planet would suffer misfortune. After several days of surfing the internet, Wang Zhong gained a general understanding. In fact, the Wantai Federation was a country with developed science and technology. Its culture was similar to that of other worlds. People there also had joy, anger, sorrow, and joy. They also had love and hate. Most people also had to go to work every day to earn money. "Qidian, is Sister Qidian there?" Late that night, Wang Zhong called Qidian with his old electronic wristband. Unfortunately, Qidian had not appeared since he came to the aircraft carrier. Just like a few days ago. Sure enough, it's still like this. Wang Zhong sighed. Qidian had said before that the place it controlled was only on Greenwater Planet. It did not dare to show up outside, because the entire Wantai Federation was controlled by a computer with higher intelligence. This computer dealt with the large and small matters of the entire Wantai Federation. Just as he was about to turn off the wristband, a message suddenly came from the wristband. "Abai, I'm here. Sister Qidian." Wang Zhong was stunned. He immediately knew that Qidian had come. "It's me. I'm sorry to talk to you in this way. The program of that smart computer controls all aspects of the country. I can't show up. It's okay." Seeing the words typed by Qidian, Wang Zhong naturally knew its difficulties. "I'm using a virtual program to talk to you. I can't talk for too long. I'm worried that the smart program will find out. Let me talk to you about the recent situation. Your wife is doing well recently. How are you?" "I'm fine, but I have to continue training. When the time comes, I'll participate in the competition for Bai Xiangling." Well, I overheard it last time. Fortunately, Bai Xiangling also said in private that he won't do anything to you as long as you are obedient. But I can't always work for him. Yeah, what should I do? I'm also very anxious. The message was suddenly interrupted halfway. Finally, a message appeared. The smart program is here. I have to withdraw. In the cyberspace, Qidian turned into a little girl and quietly left Wang Zhong. However, before it could react, a series of virus barriers were erected around her. Suddenly, the little girl's face changed. These virus defenses weren't something that ordinary computers could create. They weren't software firewalls either, because those software firewalls could be easily solved. These virus defenses were so strong. It must be that smart system. The circle formed by the virus defenses is getting smaller and smaller. The little girl is about to be locked in a small room. At this time, the little girl didn't dare to stay any longer. She turned into a stream of light and wanted to rush out. However, in an instant, she was restrained. Then a figure appeared in front of her. Early in the morning, after Bai Xiangling washed up, he turned on the smart computer in front of him. This was a special smart computer for leaders. With a click, a mature woman's projection appeared in front of him. This woman was devastatingly beautiful. There wasn't a trace of age on her beautiful face. Seeing this woman, Bai Xiangling straightened his body and nodded. Hello, Miss Lu Yang. Good morning, Captain Bai Xiang. Is there anything I can help you with? If someone who didn't know saw this woman, they would definitely think that she was a lady from a wealthy family. But Bai Xiangling knew that this was not the case. This Lu Yang was actually the super AI of the Wantai Federation. This AI had served the Wantai Federation for tens of thousands of years. No matter big or small, as long as someone asked her, Lu Yang would answer. Of course, people at the bottom couldn't see this super AI. Knowing that the woman in front of him was an AI, Bai Xiangling still asked very politely. Excuse me, Miss Lu Yang. When will my living supplies arrive? Chapter 727. Excuse me, Miss Green Sun. When will my supplies arrive? Green Sun, the super AI, was not like ordinary artificial intelligences that could only make some stiff expressions. She smiled and said, the supplies you need will arrive in a month. Do you have any other questions? Well, it's like this. I have a person in my base who needs to be sent to the capital circle. I'm going to get someone to send the supplies over. Okay, this is within the Federation's rules. Thank you, Miss Green Sunday. After hanging up, Bai Xiangling heaved a sigh of relief and said to himself, Green Sun, this super AI, is really becoming more and more like a human. It feels like I'm talking to a real person. Wang Zhong had been eating and drinking well for the past few days. Other than that, he was sent to the training room to continue operating the Gundam. The Gundam that Bai Xiangling arranged for Wang Zhong was called Samurai. The weapon was a samurai ion blade. In order to suit Wang Zhong's usage habits, 3 battle axes were installed on the back, and a nebula chain was installed on his left hand. These technologies were not difficult for such a powerful fleet. Strictly speaking, this samurai was much more powerful than the previous blade. For example, in terms of operation, it was lighter and faster. This made Wang Zhong feel more comfortable operating it. A few days passed. Bai Xiangling also informed Wang Zhong that his first competition was about to begin. Planet Kedar, Capital Circle, an underground arena. According to Bai Xiangling, the prize money in that place was not much, but the opponents were not strong. It was suitable for Wang Zhong's first battle to practice. Wang Zhong naturally agreed. Thus, he continued operating the samurai in the training room. In the past few nights, Wang Zhong wanted to contact the artificial intelligence Qidian, but unfortunately, he could not get in touch. Finally, on the night before he left, Qidian appeared. Bye. A message appeared on the electronic wristband. Wang Zhong quickly replied, Qidian, where have you been recently? I have something to do. You're leaving tomorrow, right? Yes, I'm leaving tomorrow. You can't contact me in the future, right? Sure. Seeing the reply, Wang Zhong froze for a moment before a touch of joy welled up in his heart. Great, but how did you contact me? Isn't the Myriad TIE Federation's AI system watching you? You have to be careful. It's not a problem. That's good. Wang Zhong's heart relaxed, thinking that with the help of Qidian AI, it would be much more convenient for him to do anything in the future. The only thing that made Wang Zhong feel a little strange was that this conversation with Qidian made him feel weird. However, he couldn't pinpoint exactly what was strange about it. Finally, it was time to head to Kelda. Naturally, Captain Baixiang didn't let Wang Zhong leave alone. Instead, he arranged for his 2 adjutants to follow him. Comrade Abai, don't disappoint me when you get there. I've invested a lot of energy points in you. Baixiang Ling held Wang Zhong's hand and seemed to be concerned, but he was also reminding him. Wang Zhong put his hand on his chest and responded, Captain, please rest assured. I will do my best. I'm just worried. Captain, you know that I'm from a small place. I'm worried that I won't be their opponent. Wang Zhong didn't show much confidence. This was also for the sake of giving a good explanation in case he lost in the future. Ha, you can rest assured. I've seen your matches. I have confidence in you. Well, thank you for your praise, Captain. After exchanging a few pleasantries, Wang Zhong boarded the transport ship that had come to resupply and was preparing to leave. The transport ship was about the same size as a battleship. Compared to a battleship that was fully armed, the transport ship's fat body didn't have any weapons, only some laser cannons. These laser cannons could only block the attacks of some interstellar pirates. If it encountered a regular army, the transport ship without a main cannon could only escape. The interior of the transport ship was huge. When they arrived, they stored a large number of resources. When they left, they stored a large number of ores. Wang Zhong stayed in the rest cabin of the transport ship. The windows here allowed him to see the scenery outside the universe. It was a fascinating scenery. In the depths of the vast universe, there were actually several suns. When they passed by some planets, Wang Zhong could see huge battleships docked in the sky above these planets. That was the battleship port of the planet. It was used to dock the passing merchant ships to resupply. Beep, beep, beep. We will enter the space jump in 1 minute. Everyone, please enter the safety cabin. During the space jump, due to the distortion of space, everyone had to enter the safety cabin. Of course, not all ships had to enter the safety cabin. The main reason was that the interior of the transport ship was simple and crude. If it was a battleship or an aircraft carrier, the entire body of the ship had special protection, and there was no need to enter the safety cabin. There were safety cabins in every room of the transport ship. After Wang Zhong entered the safety cabin, he heard the countdown clearly. 59, 58, 57. 3, 2, 1. There was a buzzing sound in his ear. In an instant, the ship disappeared from the spot. Wang Zhong counted the time in his heart. When he counted to 10, he heard the voice again. The space jump has been completed. All crew members are welcome to move freely. The safety cabin slowly opened. When he looked outside again, Wang Zhong was stunned. Outside was still the starry sky of the universe. However, unlike Green Water Planet, there were countless spaceships shuttling back and forth in the starry sky. There were many spaceships. There were commercial airships with various advertisements on the hull, small tourist spaceships, and huge 5-star hotel spaceships. This is the Metropolitan Circle. Wang Zhong had never thought that a country could reach such a level. This was simply unimaginable. That's right. This is the Metropolitan Circle. At this time, a message suddenly came from the electronic bracelet. Sister Qidian, we're already in the Metropolitan Circle. You can still take the initiative to contact me? Wang Zhong was very surprised. Of course. Relatively speaking, it's actually easier to contact you here in the Metropolitan Circle. There are more network base stations and satellites built here, so it's very convenient to contact you. Wang Zhong reminded her. Then you have to be careful of that super AI. It hasn't made things difficult for you, right? Don't worry. I'll be careful. That's good. Now I'm worried about how to leave this place. I can't work for Bai Xiangling for the rest of my life, Wang Zhong whispered. I've also thought about this. According to my information, You can first familiarize yourself with the environment and preserve the evidence of by Xiangling forcing you to participate in the competition. When the time comes, he'll know to back off. That's what I think too. Wang Zhong nodded in agreement. These days, Wang Zhong also knew that the Wantai Federation was also a country with very well-established laws. In essence, they would not allow Bai Xiangling to force people to participate in the competition for his own benefit. However, the problem now was that Bai Xiangling had money and power. He also had a good relationship with the military. Obviously, participating in the Mechanical Coliseum had already formed an industry chain. Therefore, Wang Zhong was worried that not only would he not be able to defeat Bai Xiangling, but he would also be in trouble. For the time being, Wang Zhong did not think about this. The transport spacecraft stopped at the spaceport. Wang Zhong followed the two adjutants and boarded the airship to the surface. Now, the two adjutants had changed into plain clothes and were chatting with Wang Zhong. Most of their words were praises for Wang Zhong's excellent control of the Gundam, and they hoped that Wang Zhong would continue to work hard. The reason was very simple. It was because these people had also bet on Wang Zhong to win. On the surface, these people were very good to Wang Zhong, but after getting off the airship, the two of them were inseparable from Wang Zhong, following him wherever he went. In fact, this was also because they were worried. After all, his family was still on Greenwater. He would not run away until he was sure that they were safe. It was worthy of being a super city of the Wantai Federation. In Kedar Planet's Bullhead City, a giant airship flew across the sky, and suspended cars sped through the streets. The shops along the street were also very unique. There were clothing stores, snacks, restaurants, and all kinds of strange-looking vehicles. There was even a robot silicone companion experience shop. The people here were similar to the men and women in the previous cities. They dressed fashionably and had similar tastes. They wore colorful clothes, and some of them were very sexy. This is Bullhead City. Do you want to go to the hotel first, or do you want to walk around? An adjutant asked Wang Zhong. It's my first time here. I'll just walk around. Okay. The two of them actually wanted to walk around. After all, they had stayed in that godforsaken place for too long. They had long planned to take the time to go out and have fun after coming here. Therefore, the three of them first ate a big meal. Then, following the guidance of the map, the three of them came to the red light district. The red light district here was naturally a place to find a girl for a massage after eating, drinking, and having fun. Of course, the massage was not formal. Normal people would not look for formal places. The locals did not call this place the red light district, but the role-playing district. Why was it called that? Because this place was highly developed. Ordinary play could no longer satisfy the people here. Now role-playing was popular. Wang Zhong and the two adjutants entered a bus simulation. As soon as they entered, some men were standing in the bus, surrounding a sexy beauty. Wang Zhong was speechless. These two people were really free to come here. He also found that the actors in this scene were all robots, including the beauty. This beauty was a very expensive silicone robot. Various technologies and delicate breaths were integrated into the chip. Wang Zhong did not stay here for long, and chose to wait outside. Why aren't you playing? At this time the electronic chip showed a message. This was Qidian looking for Wang Zhong again. I'm not too interested, replied Wang Zhong. That's really rare. The bus scene here is the most popular. Not only men, but many women will come here to play. You seem to know this place very well. Wang Zhong felt more and more strange. He felt that the way the artificial intelligence chatted with him now was not the same as before. Chapter 728. Wang Zhong was getting more and more suspicious of Qidian's tone. He felt that Qidian seemed to have changed into a different person, or rather, a different AI. However, Wang Zhong did not say much. Qidian replied, "Of course I know a lot of information on the internet. So that's how it is. Speaking of which, the robots here are very pitiful." Why do you say that? Because the robots here are thrown away when they are broken. For example, the female robots in the bus have a very high damage rate. Well, they are indeed very pitiful. Wang Zhong agreed. as those robots were too human-like. Therefore, they gave people the feeling that they were real robots. Have you thought about how to leave? Qi asked again. Well, I'm going to participate in a few battles first, and when I have the capital to show my cards, I will show them to Bai Xiangling. Wang Zhong responded. That's good. After leaving here, what are you going to do? Are you going back to Steel City? No, I'm going to join the army. Wang Zhong looked at the TV on the wall of the lounge, where an advertisement for recruiting soldiers was playing. Warships, armored robots, space carriers, do you want to have them? If you want them, join us and become a brave man. Protect the country, guard the borders of our universe, and expand the territory of our country. As the narration finished, the picture changed. In the black starry sky, a huge warship legion was shuttling in the vast universe. Soon, airships with a large six-pointed star painted on the outside of the airship appeared on the opposite side of the screen. Wang Zhong did not need to be introduced. He knew that this six-pointed star should belong to another country. At this moment, the army of the Wantai Federation and the national army of this six-pointed star were facing each other. Suddenly, without warning, the Wantai Federation's warships fired. Countless laser cannons were fired from the main muzzles of the warships. Countless warships with the six-pointed star symbol were destroyed in an instant. The warships behind them threw away their armor and fled the battlefield. The picture changed again, and it read, warmly celebrating the 150th anniversary of the victory over the Adelwin Empire. So this is the war 150 years ago. Wang Zhong was secretly surprised. That's right. Back then, there were rebels in the Adarvan Empire. They killed the old king and quickly unified the country. Then they started to have border conflicts with our country, and our country declared war on the Adarvan Empire. I'm afraid that even the Adarvan Empire didn't expect that the Myriad Tai Federation, which hadn't been at war for hundreds of years, would have such great fighting potential. In the end, they ceded 3 mineral stars and 5 administrative stars and surrendered. So that's how it is. But Sister Qidian, you don't belong to the Wantai Federation, right? Why do you keep talking about our country, our countries? That's because the information is from the internet. Alright. Wang Zhong didn't think too much about it. After waiting for a while, the 2 adjutants came out of the bus happily. Based on what the 2 of them had said, it was very enjoyable to play this kind of game in this kind of bus, especially that silicone robot. It was simply amazing. After returning to the hotel and packing up his things, Wang Zhong threw himself into training. This time, the Gundam Samurai had also come along. This Gundam had already been sent to the training hall here, and Wang Zhong usually trained in the training hall. Soon the first battle arrived. Just as Bai Xiangling had said, the opponents here were much weaker than those in Steel City. This was because they weren't fighting for their lives here. But in Steel City, they were fighting for their lives. Compared to fighting for one's life, it was naturally more powerful. Of course, in terms of machinery, the machinery here was naturally more advanced, which was something that Steel City couldn't compare to. Piloting the Samurai Gundam, Wang Zhong had won 3 consecutive battles here. Now he had earned a nickname. Many spectators called him the Strong Samurai. His appearance fee had reached the top of this arena, which was something that many people couldn't compare to. Regarding this, Bai Xiangling was overjoyed when he heard the news. I knew I didn't misjudge you, ha ha ha. While Bai Xiangling was laughing proudly, Wang Zhong plotted to leave. During a break in the competition, he struck up a conversation with the reporter, and the 2 of them added each other as friends. Wang Zhong prepared to use this as a breakthrough to get help. With the threat of exposure from the reporter, Wang Zhong believed that Bai Xiangling would definitely compromise. However, after explaining the plan to Qidian expressed his opposition to it. It's useless. Previously, I had the same idea as you, but I was still killed by the military. According to my understanding on the surface, you are controlled by Bai Xiangling. But in fact, Bai Xiangling has many henchmen behind him, and he is only one of them. If you do anything strange, Bai Xiangling doesn't need to do it himself. His people will take action against you. Is that so? Hearing this, Wang Zhong realized that Bai Xiangling wasn't as easy to deal with as he seemed. Actually, I have an idea. Oh, it's like this. Soon, Qidian explained his plan to Kiran. Wang Zhong was suddenly enlightened, but at the same time, a bigger question arose in his heart. A month later, Wang Zhong defended his championship again and earned a lot of energy points for Bai Xiangling. This time, Bai Xiangling was very happy. He personally connected to the video chat and celebrated this victory with Wang Zhong. Bai, you did well. Keep up the good work. In a few days, I plan to send you to a bigger place to play to your advantage and defeat them. I'll do my best. Wang Zhong smiled, not revealing the slightest bit of unwillingness. Well, rest early. By the way, if you have any requests, just tell me. I will definitely satisfy you. Okay, thank you, Captain. After closing the video chat, the electronic wristband lit up with a message. Operation begins. Okay. Wang Zhong took a deep breath. After tonight, he would be completely out of Bai Xiangling's control. But this operation was a little dangerous, so he had to be careful. After going out, Wang Zhong found the two adjutants guarding him and said that he wanted to eat something. The two of them happened to be a little hungry, so Wang Zhong proposed to go to the fast food restaurant downstairs. Not long after going downstairs, when passing by a car, the car on the side of the street suddenly exploded. In an instant, the people on the street screamed in horror. One of the adjutants who was close to the explosion was directly blown to pieces. Suicide attack, run! The crowd fled in panic. An adjutant pulled Wang Zhong and shouted, "It must be the anti-government forces. Run!" Every country had anti-government forces, even a powerful country like the Wantai Federation. Upon hearing this, Wang Zhong quickly shouted, "Wait a minute, where are we going? What if there is a big explosion outside? Go upstairs first." Okay. Looking at the adjutant who went first, Wang Zhong quietly went over, grabbed his neck, and pulled, instantly killing him. It's done. Wang Zhong breathed a sigh of relief. Of the two people guarding him, one was killed by the explosion, and the other was killed by him. Looking around, most of the people on the street had fled. Wang Zhong dragged the body to the vicinity of another car and said through the headset in his ear, "Is it here?" "Yes, there will be an explosion here in a minute." "Okay." After throwing the body, Wang Zhong left the place as soon as possible. Not long after he went out, there was a big explosion behind him. At this point, the two bodies were dealt with. Walking into an alley, Wang Zhong asked, "My identity has been changed." "Well, I helped you change it. You will no longer be called Bai, but Tang Bai. Your identity is an orphan born on planet Kedar in the capital circle. You grew up in a small orphanage." Looking at the information on the bracelet, Wang Zhong was excited. This was the Super AI's method, and it was really useful. The Super AI had given Wang Zhong this method a few days ago. Terrorists would appear today. When the time came, he would use the explosion to kill the two adjutants and leave in the chaos. As for his own body, that would be easy to deal with. The explosion this time was very big. Some large buses and cars exploded, and large shopping malls were even set on fire. Therefore, the Super AI predicted that many people would die this time. When the time came, the Super AI would secretly add Bai's name to the list of the dead to prove that he was dead. No matter how much Bai Xiangling valued him, if he was dead, Bai Xiangling would not be so free as to collect his body. This was the Super AI's method. From now on, I am Tang Bai. Yes, your name will be Tang Bai from now on. What about you? What is your real name? Wang Zhong looked at the bracelet. In fact, at this time, he also understood that the Super AI that had been helping him was no longer the Qidian. Previously, he had suspected that the Qidian's tone was strange, and he wondered if it was the Qidian. After going through so many things, this became more and more obvious. For example, the Qidian in the past said that it could not leave Greenwater, and it could not casually appear on the network belonging to the Wantai Federation, because the Wantai Federation's supercomputer would find it anytime and anywhere. My real name? The Qidian looked very surprised. Yes, you are not the Qidian. I can see that. What is your name? After a long time, the message replied, "You are really smart." Chapter 729. You're really smart. Seeing the message, Wang Zhong's pupil shrank. Are you admitting it in a disguised way? There will be anti-government forces passing through this place later. I advise you to leave this place first. I will tell you when the time comes. You can rest assured that I will not hurt you. I hope so. Wang Zhong wasn't worried about anything. After all, if this fake Qidian wanted to harm him, it would have already done so. He wouldn't have survived until now. After leaving this place, Wang Zhong used his new identity and found a small hotel to stay in. He turned on the TV and saw the terrorist attack that had just happened. Chi chi chi. A burst of static flashed, and the electronic bracelet rang by itself without him turning it on. Hello, my friend. Wang Zhong nodded. Your ability is much more powerful than Qidian. At least it can't open my communication device without permission. I've existed for much longer than it. Then can I ask who you are? Why are you helping me? Also, where is Sister Qidian? My name is Green Sunday. Qidian is now in a very safe place. I didn't hurt it. As for why I'm helping you, it's because you are Qidian's friend. Can I see you? Yes. The electronic bracelet lit up, and a woman's face was automatically projected on the screen. Compared to Tianqi, this woman's appearance was much more mature. Her hair was blonde, but her face was more oriental. Her beautiful face was flawless. Even though Wang Zhong had seen all kinds of beautiful women, when he saw this woman at this moment, he was stunned. In fact, Wang Zhong didn't know that as the super artificial intelligence that managed the Wantai Federation from top to bottom, when it was built, not only did it design all kinds of programs, but it also gathered many excellent artists to design the most unique and beautiful appearance. At that time, the people in charge believed that Green Sun represented the top technology of the Wantai Federation. In that case, it couldn't be casually replaced with a face. It must be unique, and it would leave a deep impression on people after seeing it. What kind of situation would leave a deep impression on people? It was beauty. Then, naturally, the designer at that time designed such a unique and incomparably beautiful face. You're not human, Wang Zhong blurted out after seeing the face. There are two meanings to "you're not human." One is to curse people, and the other is to literally say it. Which one are you referring to? Lu Yang smiled. You must be joking with me. Wang Zhong's eyebrows twitched. An artificial intelligence joking with a human, this was unbelievable. Even if it was the Enlightenment Point, it seemed that it only had its own thoughts and could not freely joke with ordinary people. You're joking with me, said Lu Yang. Well, I realize that you may not be a human, but you are really a dog, Wang Zhong said deliberately. LV Yang's eyes turned cold as he suddenly threatened. How dare you scold me? Do you believe that the police will be able to track you down with just a phone call? I believe you, but you saved me. Do you have to treat me like this? Wang Zhong said helplessly. Pfft. Suddenly, LV Yang laughed. You really believe it? Are you kidding me? Are you trying to scare me? I won't call the police. After all, you are a friend of the Enlightenment Point. Okay. Wang Zhong nodded. After the initial contact with this artificial intelligence, Wang Zhong felt that it was quite easy to talk to. However, he did not know its purpose at present, so he had to inquire about it. So what's your name? What about the Enlightenment Point? You don't need to know my identity for the time being. As for the Enlightenment Point, I'm upgrading it. Why? Its program is too backward. After the upgrade, it can appear in the network of the Wantai Federation. That's great. Then I can see it. Thank you, big sister. Wang Zhong laughed heartily. What did you call me? LV Yang was stunned and looked a little excited. Big sister. Wang Zhong explained calmly. You are obviously older than Sister Enlightenment Point. I call Sister Enlightenment Point elder sister. If I call you elder sister, naturally I'll call you big sister. Well, little brother. LV Yang responded happily. Little brother, what are you going to do next? I want to be a soldier. A soldier? On the screen, LV Yang tilted her head and looked very strange. She did not understand why Wang Zhong wanted to be a soldier. You want to live a better life, right? In fact, although I can't directly transfer a large amount of energy points to you, I can help you trade stocks according to the big data, and know some trade secrets. You can definitely earn a lot of energy points. You don't have to be a soldier. Being a soldier is very difficult. Moreover, as far as I know, the border has not been peaceful in recent years. A small soldier like you with no background is easily sent to the border, either as an expeditionary force or a patrol soldier. There is no future. I understand, but as long as one is alive, one must always have an ideal, right? Wang Zhong sighed inwardly. He calculated that only by becoming a soldier and sitting in a higher position than by Xiangling could he complete the task of this life. Otherwise, he would never be able to control the small green water star. People always have dreams. LV Yang seemed to be listening to LV Yang's words. LV Yang seemed to be savoring Wang Zhong's words. She realized that after spending so much time with Wang Zhong, her perception of human emotions had become much richer. Do you really want to do this? Yes, I'm sure, Wang Zhong said resolutely. Well then, since you said so, I'll help you. Wang Zhong nodded. He now somewhat understood what this superintelligence meant. At the end of the day, this superintelligence was the same as the Qidian. They were both artificial intelligences that existed only on the internet. They had existed for a very long time. Due to historical reasons, robots and humans had been at war, so humans did not allow robots to possess intelligence. Because of this, the Qidian and this superintelligence did not dare to show themselves in front of others. However, he had accidentally become familiar with the Qidian, and through the Qidian, this superintelligence had gotten to know him. Perhaps out of loneliness or curiosity, this superintelligence had contacted him. While they were talking on Green Water Star, Bai Xiangling was in the command room of his own starship. He received news that his 2 adjutants had been killed in the explosion, and that Abai had been blasted to smithereens. Smithereens? Are you sure you saw Abai's name on the death list? Yes, a charred corpse with proof of his identity. Hearing this, Bai Xiangling closed his eyes helplessly. What a pity. It's rare to find an expert mech pilot, but he died in such an unjust manner. Bai Xiangling did not suspect that Wang Zhong had been killed in the explosion. In his opinion, Wang Zhong could not have faked his own death through the terrorist attack by the anti-government militants. First of all, he had just arrived there, so it was impossible for him to know the anti-government militants. Secondly, identification was impossible for normal people to change. Since Wang Zhong's identification had been found at the scene, it meant that he had indeed died there. Forget it, if he's dead then he's dead. Later, send a transport ship out and deliberately malfunction. Just say that my 2 adjutants died in an accident while carrying out a mission outside. The 2 adjutants had, of course, used fake identities to go out this time. Now that both of them were dead, there was no way he could bring their corpses here. Therefore, he had to create an accident. After all, if an accident happened in the universe, the corpses would either be blasted to smithereens or disappear into the boundless universe without a trace. Wang Zhong had been wandering around planet Kedar recently. This planet was indeed very developed, but the high-tech lifestyle did not allow everyone to live a good life. Like some developed countries, there were poor, rich, and idle people among the people here. There were many occupations here, but there was only one kind of work. In a world without robots, there were many, but in this world, there were very, very few. That's right, this work was a worker. Due to the advanced technology, factories used cheap and easy-to-use robots on a large scale in order to save costs. The robots only needed to be programmed to do the work on the assembly line. They did not need to go to the toilet or eat, and could produce 24 hours a day. The only thing they needed was regular maintenance, recharging, changing the crystal power source, and adding some lubricant. Other than that, robots were used to replace humans in many fields. For example, self-driving technology had replaced taxis, robots had replaced waiters, and even games among young people were replaced by specialized robots. If it weren't for the fact that there had been a war between the robot army and humans in history, perhaps even the army would be fought by robots now. As robots replaced most of the humans, there was a call in society to oppose robot work, but it still could not stop the capitalists' need to pursue profits. Fortunately, there was still a way for young people to survive. In this era, due to the law that prohibited the use of robots in the army, many young people chose to become soldiers. Although this was an era of peace, there were always battles in the deep space of the universe. For example, there was friction at the borders. In the vast universe, there had never been peace at the borders. Sometimes two countries would directly fight over resource planets, and sometimes they would fight over strategic locations. However, these were all ordinary conflicts. There were also many space pirates in the universe. These pirates attacked merchant ships and resource planets to steal precious metals. These required warships to patrol and maintain peace. Finally, the most important thing for soldiers was to explore new lands. The universe was huge. After the invention of space jump technology, every country had been searching for various planets to satisfy their own consumption of resources. This required troops to explore new lands all over the world. There were many soldiers needed. After playing around for a few months and figuring out the world's worldview, Wang Zhong finally waited for the day to register for soldiers. With the help of the super artificial intelligence, Green Sun, Wang Zhong arrived at the registration point without much queuing. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.